right. Welcome on in, everybody. We are going to be having our next Beyond Denial guest lecture series with SharkG here, and I will introduce him and we will start the questions and discussions. For everybody on Twitch, I do also have, although I think it's only will be on if you're on watching this via my Twitch stream, I do have a lecture question that channel point that is lecture questions. It's only one Ankh, and that is just so your questions do not get lost in the mess of especially because we have a shared chat. So if you do want to kind of lock in your question so that it does not get lost, and we'll take questions kind of throughout it and stuff, but if you really want to point it out to us, use that lecture question channel point. So welcome on in, SharkG. SharkG is an advanced open water diver, metal musician, and former AAA game dev who conquered his fear of the ocean to help advocate for shark conservation. He turned to Twitch and social media to teach people about the importance of preserving ocean ecosystems, one toothy predator at a time. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how can we save the ocean by saving sharks. So welcome on in. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here. For anybody on my side, if you somehow don't know about Melissa yet, maybe you've missed the many shout outs I've given her. I met Melissa at TwitchCon. That was such a fun time, like getting to connect with everybody and just hang out, chilling in the Irish pub. We were just laughing about the discussions we had there yesterday, actually, because we were thinking of you. I went to a student film festival down in Stuart, Florida yesterday, and there's happens to be a small Egypt exhibit there, and I was like, oh. And then somehow that spiraled into we were talking about like, yeah, that one smelly guy we might all ban. We were laughing about that.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was so much fun. And it was just so happenstance too, because I just went to go pick up my ticket early and just happened to run into Nerdino, and it was just genuinely like,
yeah, no, I was thinking, was Nerdino the glue that held us all together?
Yeah,
he's a good dude.
It was.
So and Melissa, he's awesome, Egyptologist, and just all around good person.
Thank you. We had a lot of fun during the escape room.
Yeah, I'm so mad. I lost the sticker. Did you keep it?
It's somewhere. It's definitely somewhere in the mess of this. I'll find it.
I think I left it like in. So we were using Mita's uncle's car, and I think I left it in like the door or something. I couldn't find the bumper sticker to save my life. I was so mad.
I think I have one, and I might even have a second one. So we will. I'll look and I'll figure it out. But the first thing, well, didn't even send you this question, but I realized with your bio, how did you get into shark conservation, especially if you were scared of the ocean? Because that I missed the first time I read that through.
Yeah, so it's a long story, but I think I've gotten pretty good at abbreviating it. Basically, every little boy has like a dinosaur phase and a shark phase, right?
An Egypt phase.
Or an Egypt phase.
Yes,
and
I understand.
It just never grew out of the sharks. There was a guy my mom was with for a long time. He was really cool and really into the ocean, and he lived down in Houston where like we could go and be on the water sometimes, and he had all these old books on sharks. Like,
oh, cool.
There's this 70s book of like totally outdated false information called The Book of Sharks. I went and found like a signed copy of it for like $30 on Amazon. Now I have it, but it was made by this famous illustrator, this guy who paints sharks. And so he's got a bunch of illustrations of his depictions of them, as well as this like compendium of old information with it. And I would flip through stuff like that all the time. I was obsessed, like we had like zoo books back in the day, and Nat Geo issues. My grandmother had a subscription to Nat Geo, so I would always absorb that stuff. I've watched every Shark Week since they started doing it 31 years ago. I feel like I just got a couple more gray hairs just saying that.
That's okay. I understand.
But so I was so into them and just the ocean in general. But for some reason, I didn't know that anything was weird about this, but I have this like Rain Man-esque ability to just absorb knowledge about sharks. And it wasn't until I was an adult in my first apartment, and the girl I was dating at the time walked through, and I go, oh, look, that's this shark that has like a broken caudal fin came up on the screen. And I was like, oh yeah, they gave her this name. like 5 years ago, and she was like, "You just know that by like a marking on its body?" I was like, "Doesn't everybody?" She goes,
Doesn't
"No,
it?
you should probably do something with that."
Yeah.
And I said it was a short story. It's not, but anyway. So like, when I was like 13, my mom wanted to take me on a fun trip. We went to Mexico, went to Cozumel, and like, they had a limbo contest in the like in the cafeteria one night, and
Yeah.
I won as a little kid, and the prize was to go on a banana boat ride.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever done one of those, but the deal is the boat turns one way and you lean the other way, otherwise you get thrown off.
Yeah, I have not, and for that reason.
I got thrown off and a reef shark brushed against my foot, and I felt that textbook sandpaper feeling, and I was like, oh my God, I'm done with deep water where I can't see the bottom ever again. That was it for me. And so I had decided at that point that up until that point, that I wanted to be a marine biologist when I grew up. But my mother was like, you're going to have to
Go to the
scuba
ocean.
dive, right? But yeah, go in the ocean. And I was like, well, what other options we got? And for a while, I was thinking I was going to follow in my dad's footsteps to be a commercial airline pilot. I did all the ground school and all that stuff. And I ended up accidentally finding this video game development program at the Dallas County Community Colleges. And then I worked at Gearbox Software for 3 years. So I totally just like left that dream in the dust. But then when that person and all my friends around me confirmed that I have this weird ability to just regurgitate that stuff, I was like, okay, maybe we can do some good with it. And I'd been trying to like dip my toes into social media. I've never been a big social media guy until doing this. Started out with just like Twitter, because scientists were big on Twitter before Elon came and did his thing. And it just kind of grew and grew. And then I was working at a digital signage company in tech support, and they got bought out by some hedge funders, downsized, and I was like, well, let's just go whole hog on this thing. Let's just try it. And I started streaming on Twitch. I barely knew anything about it, except for being aware of its existence from working in the game industry. And I was that really scummy Twitch user that would only show up for drops. Because I didn't understand the community aspect of it. I was one of those, like, I had the boomer mentality of like, why do I want to watch somebody else play a video game? You know what I mean? I didn't realize that like these people
understand
get to know each other, and and you have communities and all that. Like,
no, I absolutely understand that. I did not know what Twitch was probably 5 months before I started streaming. Like, genuinely, the only reason I knew what Twitch was because one of my friends from college started streaming, and when I saw her getting success, I thought, hey, I could integrate that into this new thing that I'm creating. Like, because I only technically created MelissainDeNile 2 months before, and it wasn't even doing videos. It was doing like everyone knows I'm doing blogs and Instagrams. But I was like, I'm just gonna wait, and technically I was teaching an online course. This is all 2020 nonsense, me not having a job and trying to figure that all out. And I was like, I'll just wait until after I finish this course, and then I'll try streaming. Like, I have no idea. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So it's very much.
For me, it was Sorry, I totally cut you off. What?
That's okay. No, it just was a very very similar story. I feel like, and I feel like a lot of us in the education world on Twitch kind of have a similar story. Me and paleontologizing story is eerily similar. When I look at it, and time-wise as well, a lot of us started
timeline. Yeah, I keep hearing more and more of that. For me, it was different. It was kind of just happenstance. Like, I had considered it an option. I didn't think people would be interested in the science side of it. I didn't know any of you guys in the science community existed yet. I had just gotten into it because I remember vividly that was the same month that Skull and Bones had come out, and I'm a sucker for pirate games.
Yeah.
So I was all over it, and they did this promo where they teamed up with Oceania, and every time you killed this one boss in the game, and you could take over the server and fill the server with 20 of your friends if you played your card right, and then just farm this one pirate boss. And every time you killed him, it gave a quarter to Oceania. So we were like, all right, we can rig this and actually, you know, make an impact. I was like, this is a sign. I'm gonna try gaming. I'm gonna try playing this game on Twitch. I had been watching like the Raven Armed and Mickey Rand play it, and we were having a great time. And I finally started to understand the community aspect. I got to know the people in their communities, and I was like, okay, Twitch is awesome. I've been missing out. So I said, screw it. Decided to try and get comfortable being on camera. I hate the sound of my own voice so much. So I've just kind of like exposure therapied myself to that. I have monitoring on all the time, so I hear everything I say in my face just to force me to get over.
I don't think I know what my voice sounds like anymore. We're gonna be very honest. Some people, I've gotten nice comments and they're like, wow, you have such a nice speaking voice. I was like, I do? I'm like, okay.
You do, yeah.
I'm like, sure, great. And I think I talk too fast. And so I literally was filming a video just before this and I was like, Melissa, you gotta slow down. No one's gonna understand it. But I've had a lot of people tell me, like, you say it so nicely and slowly, like I'm actually learning. It's not sensationalism. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm just talking. I'm not like, no practice whatsoever.
You might have thoughts that come quickly, but like your enunciation and dictation, everything's fine. It's not like it's hard to follow.
It's one of those things I feel like I've sort of disassociated from, like, both kind of what I look like and kind of what I sound like because I do it so often. And it cracks me up because, like, a lot of my friends and friends of friends have suddenly, like, they'll just, like, see me pop up on someone. They'll be like, ah! And I'm like, this happens to me all the time. Like, I'm like, oh, there's me. Scroll through. There's me. Whatever. And it's become very nonchalant, I guess. I don't know.
People always told me, oh, you have a radio voice, you should do something. I was like, yeah, I got the face too.
Yeah, I've gotten that too as well. Not fun. Was there any other sea creature, this is very similar to, like, when people ask me how I got into Egypt, it is very much, like, based in my childhood, but, like, was there any other sea creature that, like, turned almost switched it away from sharks, or is it sharks and other creatures as well?
So, my fascination with sharks just really began from out of fear, honestly, and kind of a respect for this awesome power of this creature that hasn't changed much in, you know, hundreds of millions of years. They're just impressive. Like when you would watch Shark Week and see these sensational, like, breaches of white sharks and things like that, see all these teeth, it's like, whoa, you know. And I guess out of that fear is born a desire to understand them better. And yeah, it's more awe than fear. I would say, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Something about, like, there's this slow motion video of this one white shark named Colossus that they saw in South Africa, and he's like the size of a VW bus in terms of, like, girth. And just seeing that in slow motion by the water, you're like, holy crap, that's real.
It's crazy.
And it's mesmerizing to me. And I have an appreciation for most aquatic animals, honestly, but nothing has really piqued my interest as much as that. I do really like cephalopods, though. I've had the pleasure of meeting, I think, 3 Caribbean octopi now, and they are so cool. Or no, there was a fourth one. I don't know what species it was, though. We found it in a hole on our honeymoon.
I just love that you said you met them, like, shaking hands.
Yeah. You don't just see them. It's like an alien encounter, dude. Like, they're studying you when you see them.
They are wild.
I was following one with my camera in Bonaire, and it was looking back at me like, what the heck are you? I was like, don't be alarmed. I'm only taking pictures.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I was in there, like, humming to myself, don't be suspicious. Don't. Yeah.
So weird. Oh my god.
It did kind of calmly share the space with me, and then it was just like, all right, I'm gonna hide under this rock over here. You know, it didn't swim away quickly, but it did find a hole to, like, crawl into slowly.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're not used to seeing giant hairless apes, so
absolutely.
They're usually pretty
only 4 legs, not nearly as impressive, obviously.
And only 1 heart. That's weird.
Whatever. So I saw this.
I like cephalopods a lot as well.
Yeah, I saw this in the chat because, and this is actually one of my questions. What's your favorite shark? Do you have a least favorite? I think that's I honestly think that's a more interesting question. Is what's your least favorite? And I think Matt asked me that to me as well, which I have to think about because I don't know how many sharks I actually know.
I struggle with favorite. I feel like white shark is cliche, although they are awesome. Um, and like I do love them, but I just feel like a tool saying white shark.
I'm gonna be so
Um,
honest. I have that exact same thing when people ask me like what my favorite pharaoh is, and I used to say forever. I used to pick one of the really obscure one. I was like, I don't want to be that person who picks like Tutankhamun, and I'm like,
yeah.
but it like it's not him, it's his dad. But like it is, he still falls into that category of like I kind of sometimes say it's the gateway drug into the world of Egyptology, and I feel like great whites are the gateway
That's
drug.
very great way to put it.
Yeah,
So
it's
like white sharks are the gateway into shark knowledge
and
and
so you don't
science,
want that to
honestly.
be your favorite because you feel like you're basic. But I can't help it.
Yes.
I can't help it. Akhenaten's my favorite. Like I just can't. So
But
I can
also,
understand it.
like maybe I was drawn to them at the beginning, but now I've actually had the pleasure of being in the presence of tiger sharks and great hammerheads, and
Yeah.
those two are probably at the top of my list right
Mm.
now for favorite shark species because they're just so cool, and like seeing the way they behave around people, especially,
Hmm.
makes me have this whole new appreciation for them that I didn't have before. Because like
Yeah.
here's this big awesome predator that's very much so like on the same tier as the white shark. We're talking about tigers, and like I just Friday I was swimming with one. And it's just cruising around, real
Hmm.
mellow, just looking at it from afar. Like, how are you doing that with the bubbles?
Yeah.
Like, and it's not like posing a threat to us or anything like that. It's just kind of following the scent of the fish and checking
Hmm.
things out. So there's something about that, like going expecting this powerful predator to be
Hmm.
menacing, and it's not, and then the encounter is peaceful. That it's really uh, awe-inspiring. I think it
Yeah.
really like fills joy in that moment.
Yeah. I love that. Are whale sharks technically sharks, or are they technically something else?
Whale sharks are sharks. They are
Okay.
not whales.
Okay.
They are only
That
whale by size.
I wasn't gonna say that it's a whale, but I felt like it was gonna be one of those weird things where they're like, oh yeah, it's called a shark, but it's actually not a shark. I would probably say
They
that's
are
my
fish.
favorite.
So sharks are chondrichthyans. And so they're really, I feel dirty calling them fish. Technically, science it still calls them fish, and
Yeah.
they are by nature. But like your ray fin and lobe fin fishes have completely different anatomy. They have bony skeletons. They have swim bladders, so like a
Mm,
gas-filled
yeah.
bladder that fish literally fart to maintain their buoyance. Fun
Love that.
fact.
Love that.
But sharks maintain their buoyancy through filling up their liver with fatty oils. So like they don't have a swim bladder.
Whoa.
Their bones are made of cartilage.
Hmm.
They're just completely different anatomically from bony fish.
Interesting. Yeah, I could understand that. It's like,
So like anyway, but yeah, they're all their own thing. So all the cartilaginous fish, your skates, rays, chimeras, and sharks.
hmm.
Um, they're very unique in that, and they also have that like scaly skin teeth on their skin that makes it feel like
Yeah.
sandpaper.
Mm,
Dermal denticles are called, and the whale sharks have all that stuff. They got the liver,
yeah.
the skeleton, and the scale. So they are firmly in the shark realm.
Yeah,
And
whale
gills,
sharks. Whale sharks have to
no
be my
no no.
favorite. Yeah, they
They're
have to
your
be my.
favorite.
They look so weird when they're swimming around because like you very rarely see a picture of them with like out their mouth open because it's just like amazing to watch their mouth open, but it makes me think about if I was swimming with my mouth open. Like it just doesn't make sense in my brain, which is why I think it. Yeah, exactly. Like it makes me. It looks like you're screaming constantly. That's I think in my brain is why I like them so much because, like obviously they have a slightly different nature than a lot of the other sharks, and they're so much bigger in some cases, and they just like run around with their mouth open the entire time.
That makes me think even more that I need to do this. I've been toying with the idea of I need to collect a bunch of clips of sharks uh, doing funny things, and I want to try and make voiceovers for them.
It's
Just like
genuinely
a
perfect.
yeah,
The whale shark is
yeah.
genuinely perfect for like just a pass by of him screaming. Absolutely.
You guys. And then like-
Exactly. Um, but yeah, I think
no,
definitely. But I don't know a lot of sharks, so they're definitely. I'm sure there are way more species of shark that I do not know what they are.
yeah, the whale sharks are in a family of carpet sharks. They're Ginglimostomatidae, I think is
You
the
do have
group.
the memory for random Latin. I love it.
And that's the same group as nurse sharks. So would
Oh,
you
okay.
believe that this small, docile thing is related to the massive whale shark.
Yeah,
It's kind of wild.
absolutely.
And yet, the other really, really massive plankton-eating shark is not closely related to it at all. The basking shark's totally different ballpark.
So weird. Yeah, that is one thing that I will never fully wrap my head around is evolution and how things are related. I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, it's as something above my brain cells that cannot form together. Answering Matt's question, technically, unfortunately, no. See, like that, exactly, like that emote, exactly like that.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's how I picture it in my brain. Unfortunately, Matt, no, we were going to make this a full dual stream and we were going to talk about sharks in ancient Egypt, but we do not have any hieroglyphs. We don't have any depictions of sharks that I can find, even though in my brain...
really good sculpture of fish.
Yeah, they have great... If we were talking about fish, it would be great. We could have a full discussion stream about ancient Egyptian fish because there are some fascinating options that are depicted in some of the drawings on tomb walls and stuff.
We can do that. I mean, technically, we are talking about fish.
We are talking about fish. I gotta pull up some of the tombs I can think of. There's just some really great like imagery. There are some rays. I know rays have been depicted, but that one's
cool. It counts. They're flat sharks.
They do. Are they flat sharks? Is that how that works?
Yeah, rays are flat sharks.
Oh, this is like when paleontologizing told me that they don't dig through dirt.
Birds are dinosaurs? Yeah.
And I was like, I knew the birds were dinosaurs thing. That was a thing I knew. But then when we were talking about the difference between archaeology and paleontology, and he goes, oh yeah, we don't dig through dirt. And I'm like, you don't dig through dirt? And I just like, that just blew my mind because I was just like, because I used to always say the standard thing of like, this is archaeology, this is paleontology. Like they're just under us. They're
digging deeper.
Yeah, they're digging deeper. Not how it works. I discovered that. But yes, so like we do know that there were some sharks in the Mediterranean. We know there are now sharks in the Red Sea, but from what I can find, the only thing I can find dates to like the Greco-Roman period, and that's like depictions that are mostly coming from Hellenistic depictions as it is. So they're not being depicted in Egyptian tombs. They have, the one in my brain that I'm picturing is a big mosaic. I think it's found in Egypt, but that is not inherently an Egyptian style. Like they did not make mosaics technically.
Yeah.
So it is not.
Because they did have like, were they kind of colonizing Egypt at the time, the Greco-Romans?
Yeah. It's the craziest little story. It's Persians took over Egypt. Alexander the Great takes over the Persians. Alexander the Great dies. They split it all in half. Then the Greeks are ruling Egypt, and then 300 years of Greeks ruling Egypt, and then Cleopatra gets married to Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, and then dies. And now it's Roman. Right. So a lot of that stuff is really only coming in there, and I have a really big pet peeve of when people say that like, oh, the Egyptians invented this, or it appears in the Egyptian, and then you look and it only is found in the Greco-Roman period because there's not enough evidence that it didn't come in from another place. There's such a big culture mixing. It's this huge, I kind of sometimes call it like the first major melting pot of the world, that
like the origin, some of the evidence of its origins is just lost.
Yeah, exactly. There's no astrology in Egypt, but there is astrology that the Greeks stole from the Mesopotamians and then bring to Egypt, and then they slightly tweak some of the things to make it more Egyptian. But like you'll see modern astrology pages say, here's the Egyptian zodiac, and I'm like, no, there is no Egyptian zodiac. It's just the Greek zodiac in Egypt. It's not the same thing. And that's just, it's mostly a pet peeve of mine, but there was like an article about Egyptians invented bowling because archaeologically they found this bowling thing that sort of looks like bowling, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's from the Roman period. I'm like, no, they did not.
That actually raises a question in my mind, if I may.
Yeah.
So I really liked Assassin's Creed Origins. I don't know if you have opinions on if they did justice to the history in that or not.
I usually answer it with, it's about 60% accurate. It's probably higher. Mainly, it's the imagery that is very generalized, and for the most part, I'm pretty lenient on stuff because I understand that a gaming developer does not have to hire an Egyptologist to create complete custom hieroglyphs for every single different temple in the entire game. Like, I understand that that's not gonna happen. They're gonna hire one or two historians, and they cannot cover everything, and stuff has to also be done with just like creative licensed for the game. But there's like in one of the temple, like all the temples are sort of cut and pasted. You kind of just see them everywhere. There's like 3 types of temples and that's it. And when you go into like, they have like the mummification houses where they're mummifying people, you'll see all these coffins that are like sitting around. But you're gonna have a Middle Kingdom coffin next to an actual replica of King Tutankhamun's coffin, and then a Greco-Roman coffin, all sitting next to each other. Yeah. And I'm like, no, that's not how that works.
Not like the other.
Yeah, and so it the little things in that where I'm like, I can understand they're trying to make them Easter eggs. They're not accurate Easter eggs, but they did have like actual pieces. There's this, I have a clip of it somewhere where I walked into this little house and I turned around and on the wall was this Fayum mummy portrait, which are these Roman Hellenistic portraits on a mummy. And I turned around and I looked and saw it on the wall, and I'm like, I know that one. I've seen that in the museum. Like that's an actual one.
Of a real one. Yeah,
it was a picture of a real one, and they did things like that like are real things, but it's just generalized. And I think the portrayal of some of the real people in it like are. I don't think it's the best. There's so many bad Cleopatras. It's not the worst Cleopatra. They still just made her so sexualized, which is just not.
So you said a minute ago was making me wonder though. They said they focused on something a lot in the game, which was some aquatic god that they said that both cultures shared. I'm wondering if there's any credence to that. They were saying that like, was it Asclepios or something? Like there was like this guy was like their version of Poseidon or something, like a sea god.
Yes,
that
and let me.
The Egyptians and the Greeks believed in. Or they both had temples to them. They just called them something else.
Yes. So I think if it's Asclepius, I can't remember exactly. Asclepius, I think, is full Greek, but there are plenty of combination Greek-Egyptian gods. There's I always want to say it's Serapis. Maybe it's Serapis. Serapis is he's like a triple threat. I think he's Osiris and the Apis and sometimes like Hades or Zeus. But there are a lot of gods. I can't remember exactly which one. If it was a water god, I would suspect it's actually Hapi. At least that's on the Egyptian side. Hapi is the god of the Nile. Well, he's specifically the god of the Nile flood, which is very important.
I don't remember the name.
But yeah, I can't remember which one that is.
That does sound familiar, though. It might have been that.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Brosidon.
Brosidon. Lord of the Broshin.
Yes, Asclepius is the one with the staff of medicine. Yeah, he's a god. He's a Greek god of medicine. Serapis is one that gets thrown around a lot because he's technically a Greco-Egyptian god. But then there's a lot of gods that get like combined essentially because it's this mixing pot. Is that you have this Roman mummy, but they're putting a Hellenized image of a man. Was it Serapis? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
And so yeah, he's really during like the Greek Ptolemaic period, and he's this like combination of like sort of 3 like he's technically a combination of 2 Egyptian deities and then becomes an Egyptian deity. But yeah, there's lots of weird combinations. Oh yeah, it's on Wikipedia. It's like a Greek god in general appearance, sometimes identified with either Pluto, Osiris, Dionysus, Amun, Zeus, Jupiter, Pan, Asclepius, or Depater. Like literally any god you want, throw them all in.
It could be associated with insert god here.
Anyone, yeah, any of them. Because they're also very much cut off from the Greek world. Like they're still trading, obviously, but these are people that are living in a completely different scenario, and they're living there for 300 years, which changes absolutely your identity in a lot of ways as well.
So at this point, so ingrained in that and surrounded by that other culture, they're kind of like Greek light, if you will, over there.
Absolutely. Like it's imagining if, like, to be honest, it's like you can imagine it as America, like versus the British colony of America versus Britain. It's very similar in that sense, is that they are very much influenced by them. They are still being very much supported by them, but they need all of these other they're working. They're a diaspora, actually, is the technical word for it. They are a diaspora separate from the rest of the main group, and so they are going to start kind of having parallel lives in their own way.
Mm.
So let's go over some of these questions. We got so many questions. Okay, I'm marking favorite sharks complete. From Matt, what do you do in a tiger shark encounter? And I'm gonna say, obviously you described a not encounter, but I would say, I guess, what's the steps after you think something is gonna happen? We'll say that, because you just said you were
really quick. You did ask me what my least favorite shark is, and I glazed over that. My least favorite shark so far, at least that I've encountered, is sandbar sharks. Because they're small, but they have no boundaries, and they want so badly to eat my Insta360 camera. Like, I have one that tried so hard to eat my camera. I'm actually going to try and find you the picture of it right now. It's a really funny picture, but I was so mad because like the plastic lens dome thing for it, it's like $100. So people are always like, "Oh, it's sacrificial. Let them bite it and get the shot of in their mouth."
Yeah.
You just buy another one. Like, and I'm down here like moving this thing around like a fly swatter, like, get away from my camera.
How big are they? Like really small? Like,
so I think sandbars can get like 4 to 6 feet tops.
Okay, that's
like, whereas a bull is going to be like 10 at like full grown size. That's so.
God dang.
So they're smaller than me. The one that tried to eat my camera is maybe like his body's like that big around.
Oh, okay.
Not including fins.
Okay. Yeah.
So big enough to just barely get his mouth around the diving dome on a Insta360 X5. Let's see, where is that little guy? Sandbar sharks. Yeah, here we go. Just change this over here. Right monitor. There you go. So that's me.
Oh God.
With the sandbar.
That's much bigger than I thought.
He's closer to the camera because my camera's on a selfie stick. It's out far away from me, so that's actually the camera looking back at me. But then this was him trying to eat the camera.
Yeah.
He tried pretty hard, like 3 times. So that is my least favorite species because they just keep me on my toes, and I literally, this is the first time I've had to use my hand to push a shark off of me. I've never had to do it again. So there you go. What was the question after that?
What did you do in a tiger shark encounter? And you can say like, what do you do when you're around sharks versus what do you do when something might happen and you have to protect yourself?
So are we talking about, it depends on the scenario because like it depends on the activity. So like if you're surfing versus if you're swimming, snorkeling, or scuba diving, the ideal way to encounter a shark is where you are vertical in the water, because everything that sharks have evolved to hunt swims horizontally. If you are positioned vertically and they don't know where you are, it confuses them and they just observe you from a distance.
Which makes sense with surfers. Surfers are
and you stop,
horizontal.
Like, this is what they tell divers. You go vertical, you stop kicking your feet because they have learned to like do pattern recognition of where's the propulsion method of this prey item, and so they recognize fins as a propulsion method. And mako sharks, for example, will bite at people's fins because they've evolved this instinct to bite the tails off of sailfish and disable their prey, and then come in and eat them. So you stop kicking and just kind of go neutral and rotate to look at them, and they're smart enough to know where our eyes are. Even if you're wearing a scuba mask or even if your head's above the water, and they generally will be a lot more cautious. And if they're going to want to approach you, it's usually out of a curiosity and trying to figure out what you are. But if they are going to approach you, it's going to be from behind, like a big cat would, because they just feel safer that way. So eye contact goes a long way with sharks. If you are locked eyes with that shark, it'll generally stay like 1 to 2 body lengths away from you at least, unless you make it feel really comfortable and like it gets near you. And other than that, they kind of mirror your mood back at you. So if you're freaking out and flailing, it's probably going to be really flighty and zipping around. If you're just calm and watching it, it's probably just going to be inquisitive and swim around you. Let's say you're snorkeling and a tiger shark does approach. It's salt water, so you're probably going to be pretty buoyant. So it shouldn't be too hard to just like I said, go vertical, face the tiger shark, and just watch it. If you don't have any fish on you, like if you're not spearfishing, you don't have like a dead fish right there with you, it's probably going to get bored and leave after it gets a good look at you. As long as you're not putting yourself between them and a prey item or food,
Yeah.
usually it's not problematic and a pretty short encounter. Um, they'll lose interest. But if by some chance it is curious enough that it's persistent and it decides that it wants to come and bump you, that they don't have hands, so they go and bump things with their nose first to see what it feels like. If it's soft like a prey item, they might come back and try to, mouth on it, which is I kind of liken it to like uh, Lenny from Mice and Men, who's like, I just want to pet the rabbit, George. Oh, I bit his leg off. Like it's not their fault they got Ginsu knives in their mouths, but
I didn't realize my teeth were that sharp.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to see what he felt like. But if one is bold enough to try and actually approach you and come right at you, it's just important to put your hand on top of the head. You lock your elbow, like to stiff arm it. Because you think about this is a big, heavy animal.
Yeah.
But you're both suspended in water, so you're kind of weightless. So you can your elbow, put your palm on top of the animal's head, and effectively just redirect them down into the side away from you. I've only had to do that with that sandbar shark you just saw. It's pretty uncommon unless you yourself are like baiting them in or trying to feed them or something. Which unless somebody's a professional at that, I do not recommend. It's not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
But yeah, but if you do somehow find yourself in a situation where you have to do that, the one thing I would say is of crucial importance is that if you were ever so unlucky as to have to manually redirect a shark, it's very important that you do not touch the underside of the nose. So like, show you on this white shark diagram here.
I need models like this.
Underneath the nose here is where all the electroreceptors are. On white sharks, they're a little unique in that they go all around this cone on the nose here. So they have these pits filled with jelly called ampullae of Lorenzini, and they pick up they pick up really minor electrical impulses, so they can feel like the electric field given off by a human, or even, they can use it to detect the magnetic field of Earth and navigate.
Whoa.
So it's very, very sensitive. And on a lot of sharks, and this is especially true for tiger sharks, if you touch the underside of the nose, it triggers like a reflex to open the mouth. So that's the open the mouth button. On top of the nose, white shark's still pretty sensitive, but like I don't ever want to have to manually redirect a white shark. That sounds terrifying. But on tigers, they don't have ampullae up there. Like they have a pretty pronounced like square-shaped head. And it's like a shelf, you don't touch the white part on the bottom, just touch the gray part on the top with your palm, and you'll be good. And yeah, as long as you're not touching those receptors on the underside of the snout, they won't snap. Theoretically, they might still, but like they will for sure if you touch under here.
I was gonna say, the thing that I always I don't know if I would say taught this by anyone actually professional, or I guess is just the rumor on the internet, is that if a shark came at you, you're supposed to punch him in the nose. And now I know that's definitely not a good idea.
Then you're in the water with a very angry shark. I don't think you should do it with that. So hitting them in the nose, gouging at the eyes, going for the gills. The gills are the most sensitive part of them, honestly. Like they know that they need those to breathe. That's their lungs, basically. So they are very sensitive. If one gets too close for comfort, you can like gently touch it on the gills and it'll F off immediately and be like, I don't want to do with you anymore. But I would say like don't go for the sensitive bits like that unless you are actively being attacked. Like when they tell you to hit it in the nose, go for the eyes, go for the gills, that's when they're talking about like you have already been bitten and you're now fighting for your life.
Got it.
So like don't open with that.
Yes. Okay.
Like I saw a video of a guy that was in the water in Florida. I can't remember if he was spearfishing or what, but he's in the water with his buddies. They're out by the boat, and a shark came up. I think it was like a lemon, or it doesn't, the species doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
he like freaked out. It approached him, got really close and passed right by, and he immediately took his dive knife and like stabbed it in the back. And the shark's fine, but it like stuck a little bit into its back and like took his knife away. And he's like, that saved my life. That was crazy. You stabbed that shark. I was like, that was not necessary.
Not necessary. You just stabbed a shark.
You just maimed an animal that was just trying to get a good look at you and see if you had some food for it.
Oh my god. No, I think I had always heard that along with something, like it sort of was attached with the like, oh, sharks are made out of cartilage. If you punch them in the nose, it'll like disable it. So I definitely had heard that as like the first move, which I'm glad I know now is not the first move.
That's kind of an old
wives' tale.
That's kind of outdated info from like 80s, 90s, I think.
Yeah, and it would make sense because that is around the time that I heard it. So,
yeah,
but
I remember they actually did like a Mythbusters episode about this one year.
Maybe that's where I heard it from. I watched a lot of Mythbusters back in the day, but I don't remember a lot of the specific episodes. I definitely had heard of that.
They made a copy of Jaws, and they actually put red buttons where its eyes were, and they put one of them, Jamie, I think, in its mouth, and he was getting thrown around, and he had to hit the eye button.
That's really funny. Oh my god.
They want to see how feasible it would be to go for the eyes if you're in the mouth. It didn't go well.
So, one of the things I want to talk about a lot is the conservation of sharks. Like, we're obviously talking about sharks, we're talking about scuba diving sharks, surfing with sharks, but what do you think is, and this might be probably is an obvious answer, what do you think the hardest part about advocating for shark conservation is, and what is the easiest thing to be able to like actually advocate to people, to the public, that sharks need to be around?
Okay. Well, sharks, I kind of, without getting too lost in the weeds on the analogy here, I kind of liken them to like how essential bees are as pollinators in forests and all kinds of green ecosystems. They have a direct relationship with the health of reef ecosystems, and reef ecosystems are absolutely crucial to the health of our oceans, and we rely on our oceans to be healthy, to produce most of the air that we breathe, and a huge portion, I forget how much it is, but something like 70% of the protein we get on the planet.
That's more than I expected.
Right, and coral is having a hard time right now, specifically.
It is.
Corals are getting wiped out left and right just from warming waters, and we actually had a nasty heat wave here in Florida back in 2023 that nearly wiped out staghorn and elkhorn coral, which were our two main reef building corals. They are now functionally extinct. They will not make it unless we can curb climate change, and there are like massive efforts to replant them and regrow them. They're even like breeding them in labs to select for ones that are a little bit heat resistant, which is going to buy them a few years of like a couple like 4 more degrees of resistance or something like that. So there's a big ongoing fight to save coral, but sharks are a part of that. Sharks literally directly feed reefs with their poop. So their poop is heavy in nitrogen, and that nitrogen gets broken down by coral polyps, and it literally provides nutrition for the algae that's living inside the reef. So a coral is an animal, like a gelatinous animal with a calcium exoskeleton, and inside this hollow, it's basically guts. This animal's made of guts. And inside the guts, there are colonies of algae, and that every algae is unique to that species of coral. And it just so happens that they get like fertilize type nutrients from those shark droppings, more so than from the reef fish that live there. And there was a study done, I think in 2024, showing a direct relationship between the amount of sharks you have in an ecosystem and the overall health of that ecosystem. So there's literally no such thing as like too many sharks, which is actually, this is the biggest problem I face, is there's massive misinformation down here in Florida. It's a very popular place to go fishing, so there are a lot of shark fishing charters. It's really popular for people to hire somebody to take them to the beach and catch sharks. People are hauling up great hammerheads, tiger sharks. They're pulling endangered species out of the water and putting them in stress, taking photos for Instagram, and sometimes when they release the animal, it ends up washing back ashore dead later. Like hammerheads specifically build up lactic acid in their muscles when they fight faster than any other species. And so often they'll release them and they'll say, well, it swam off strong. It was fine. It's a big, strong animal. It'll be good. And then they end up dying of toxicity like long after, a couple hours later, and washing up on shore a few miles south of there. And like I said, the reefs are struggling, right? So we have a fish stock problem. We've depleted the fish stocks pretty steadily since the 1970s. We're trying to get a handle on that. And because the fish stocks have not started to rebound like the shark populations have due to protections, the sharks are often stealing fish from the fishermen here. So their perception, if 2 out of 3 times you cast a line, a shark steals your fish, they go, oh, there's too many sharks. There's not enough fish. So they're like, oh, it's always been enough fish. It's fine. I can always catch one. Well, yeah, that's because angling is really effective. But so that's the biggest hurdle we have right now, is convincing people that they are worth protecting, because they're either demonized because people are scared of them because we've been programmed to be afraid of them by media for years, or they're demonized by fishermen for stealing their food. They think of them as a nuisance or a danger to be around in the water, danger to beachgoers. And it's an uphill battle convincing people to care about something like that, because first you have to fight the misinformation, and you're not going to convince everybody of that. I get people crying fake news about that stuff every day.
And unfortunately, people can still be scared of them, but still advocate for their conservation. And
you know
people
what I mean?
They don't. Unfortunately, that does not I am scared of sharks. Like, I will very adamantly believe it. That does not mean that I don't want them to still be around anymore. I think people can't really separate that sometimes, especially people who like going to the beach a lot.
And I acknowledge their importance, it doesn't have to be, I just think that it's an unfortunate truth that people use, that it's a slippery slope to take that demonizing of them, whether it's intentional or not, and not have it result in them feeling justified in killing them. Like on that dive that we were on, that I just showed you the picture of that shark trying to eat my camera, we saw 3 injured sharks on that dive from fishermen. There were not that shark, but another sandbar shark had like a stab wound near the gills, probably from a spear. And then there was a bull shark and a sandbar shark, bless you,
excuse me,
that had healed up gunshot wounds in the top of their head. Because typically what people will do is, if they don't know how to release the fish, or they don't feel safe doing it, like I said, and this is not the majority, but there's an alarming amount of people that do believe there's too many of them, and they will think that they're doing a service by just killing them if they catch them on the line. So one will come up and they'll just grab a pistol and try to put a bullet in its head, and sometimes they miss and the shark survives and it heals up, and now they've just got a piece of lead in their head and a scar. It breaks my heart. And there's more misinformation about, they don't feel pain. Well,
I was thinking about that earlier. Yes, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, so they have nociceptors.
Okay.
They have pain receptors, but they're not mammals. They're chondrichthyans. They're a completely different thing. So they don't have what's the pain center of the brain?
Is it
God,
amygdala?
No, I don't think so.
I can't. I just pulled one out of my brain. Somebody will find it in the chat. I was thinking about that. I was like, wait, that's another misinformation that I feel like I've heard. Maybe that's very much tied in with the
system. No, I'm not gonna find it right now. I was literally reading about this last week, though. But so they lack the part of the brain that we use to process pain. And for example, humans experience two types of sensory reception. There is when your hand is close to. Maybe I don't.
Mark,
think so.
Mark, I think has a higher chance because he's a bioarchaeologist, so he might. I might trust you. I might trust you, Mark. That might be true.
Yeah, that's gonna bother me.
Thalamus.
Anyway, but so like for example, if you put your hand near a hot burner on a stove, like you're going to anticipate what that is going to feel like before you actually touch the thing. So that's processed in a different way than say once your tissues have already taken damage and you're like, ow, that hurts, you know? So thought process is that they have the former and not the latter. But that's only a hypothesis based on the evidence that they don't have that part of the brain that we use for that. But just because they don't have exactly what we have doesn't mean they haven't found another way to perceive that same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're apples and oranges, right? But we do know that they have the same types of nerve cells. So they're able to detect damage to their tissues in the same ways that an animal would.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm looking through my we had a couple different questions. Random one from Otto. Can sharks get cancer? It's a great question.
Yes, and they do.
And they do.
It's very rare. If you think about aquatic animals, this is really apparent, I think, when you look at dolphins, and you can see like how they kind of shed their skin constantly. You'll see like dead skin sloughing off on them all the time. I know it's kind of gross, but I think it's interesting. Anything living in this crazy, hostile, salty environment is going to have to regenerate its skin pretty quickly. It's going to get exfoliated constantly by the sea. You'll have perpetual swimmer's itch, you know. So that's just kind of how fish, dolphins, you know, all cetaceans and sharks have evolved, is to be able to regenerate their skin rapidly out of necessity. So they have very, very efficient T cells as a result, and they do very, very rarely get cancer. But as science likes to say, if anything gets old enough, it will eventually get cancer because those cells will start to fail. And I find that a lot of the time, the photos I've seen of sharks with cancer, I won't pull them up because they're gnarly, but a lot of the time it seems like it happens around an injury.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So like there was a hook there that didn't rust out or something, and it's still trying to heal, but it can't, and you get this tumor on the jaw. It's always around the mouth, or like I don't think I've ever seen one on a tumor on a fin. It's always around the head, you know, and I feel like it may be related to like there was an injury there and they were healing up, and you know the T cells went haywire and now they have this growth there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are, so just because of the nature of it, they are highly resistant to it because, as I said, they have very efficient T cells. But not getting a cancer is a myth, and unfortunately it's one that is heavily driving the sale of dried shark fins in Asia, is that people think shark cartilage and they won't get cancer. Yeah.
Well, that is interesting. Also, Dash has a question. Have you heard of the Swedish conservation on the Swedish west coast breeding and releasing spur dog sharks? And Dash is asking this because
I have not. That sounds awesome.
Dash lives in Sweden, so.
No, that's great. So spur dogs are little dogfish. They're actually pretty cute. They call them a spur dog because they have a lot of dogfish have this too. But you know, so a lot of sharks will have two dorsal fins, a first and a second. The second's usually smaller. It varies from species to species, but with these little dogfish, they'll actually have a venomous spine that sticks out in front of the dorsal fin.
Whoa.
And this is to deter other predators from eating them because they'll get poked in the throat with this full neurotoxin. Yeah, It's crazy stuff.
But yeah, Dash, if you have any links, you can put them in our Discord. Shark's in our Discord, so you can.
I'd love to see that.
You can share it. You can share any info. Yeah, but you can put it in anywhere in the Discord. You can put in like the other fandoms, and Shark Geek's in our Discord, so you can tag them.
Yeah, tag me. I want to read it.
I'll go through the last two of the ones that we already got in. Don't forget, everyone, if you have a question, use the lecture question channel point so that we don't lose our questions. But Matt asks, are tiger sharks the most aggressive sharks, or is there one above it?
I don't think there's any such thing as an inherently aggressive shark. I think that is bogus. I think most sharks, their behavior is going to vary from individual to individual. Like if you see a white shark, as a 50-50 chance that shark might be really mellow, or like maybe it's an old, more curious individual, or maybe it's a teenager that's still learning how to hunt and it's going to be really flighty and, kind of anxious. Um, but I think the stereotype for that is bull sharks.
Okay.
Because it is true that bull sharks do have more testosterone than any other.
Interesting.
Their limbic system is very unique, and so that is accurate. But at the same time, I actually had an argument with a shark feeder on Friday about this, because she's like, I don't feed bull sharks, and I was like, I mean, I've been out with people that did, and they were super chill, and she goes, you're an effing idiot. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, just because I asked a question. But yeah, I was like, were those people like, what happened? But she was like, I made him do terrible things. So the jury's kind of out on that, but generally, like, the consensus is, there's a guy named Dr. Eric Ritter that is kind of a pariah in scientific communities, because he was studying their behavior specifically with interacting with humans, and he had a school in Eleuthera, Bahamas, where he was teaching people to safely interact with them. So the scientific community is not a really big fan of him. But he had a saying, though, that I'm a really big fan of, and I firmly believe this. There's no such thing as an inherently dangerous shark. I'm adding the word inherently. He didn't say it that way. Only dangerous situation.
Yeah.
And for example, putting myself between a tiger shark and a sea turtle is a dangerous situation. Anytime you are putting yourself between a shark and their intended prey, like when we were at TwitchCon, I droned over La Jolla Cove, and there were people swimming with baby seals. Like, you could not pay me to do that. I go swim with sharks on purpose, and you could not pay me to do that. That is such a bad idea. Not even if the sharks aren't there, like the mama seal could just decide, nope, that's too close, I'm gonna take your hand now. No.
I would not swim with anything, because that's terrifying, because I'm still kind of terrified of deep ocean, but I also love seals above any animal in my life. And I saw them rescue a seal in California when I went last year, and I almost cried.
Cool.
It was so cute. It did die, unfortunately, because it was being rescued by this group, and they put them all on their website, and then like they have a name and they have like the day, and so I went back and checked it on weeks and weeks and on end, waiting for a photo, and then it was just like, it's dead. I'm like, no. No.
Oh man.
Made me very sad. But I love seals more than anything, but I'm not that. I don't want to. I want to get close, but I can't. I know I can't.
Yeah, I don't think you want to. If you've seen some of the like really aggressive males that chase people off the beaches down there, I don't want anything to do with that.
No.
Those things are. But
I do have a question.
What was the question?
The question was about the most aggressive shark. And I love the way that you say it, because it is something that I talked about once on a different stream, that like, for a long time, I feel like a lot of these science communities created sort of these hard and fast kind of definitions for a lot of different things that now, as we sort of look back, we're kind of like loosening those a little bit. And the one that I had frequently use is the word civilization. And when you're like a little kid in 3rd grade, you're learning about civilization, there's like, this is what makes a civilization. And I'm like, no, like it's the switching over from hunter-gatherer to civilization. And I'm like, there are plenty of communities that didn't have all 4 things. And we had a discussion here with another archaeologist and historian about how like ancient China is not considered a civilization up until a certain point, because of they did not have all of these certain things. Like we're talking really, really early China, but it doesn't hit all of those boxes, and so it's not considered part of the big like 3 of the earliest civilizations in around the world.
How would you define it? Because if I had a guess, I would just say like you don't migrate and you farm.
So typically, yeah. So it's farming. You settle, but that also can mean the beginnings of pottery, because you need like kilns and you can't move them as it is, and then writing. Like those are usually sort of. There's a couple other things that like can get included in stuff, but like writing. Sometimes people will also say like planned cities, planned out streets and houses and things like that. But it's just like just because they didn't have one or two of the things, I don't know why we need to clarify what a civilization is when it's an ancient culture that existed and survived for a very long time. Why do we need to like hammer that down?
HLG had an interesting question. He said, how true is it that civilization was formed around / because of beer? I know that the ancient Assyrians accidentally invented beer they had like a grain cellar, and it rained in there and it fermented, and they were like, screw it, let's taste it, I guess.
Yeah. Ancient Egyptian beer, I mean, yes and no. But the thing about this is my favorite fact about like ancient Egyptian.
Seems like more of a coincidence.
It is very much a coincidence. It's also very much based on what they were mainly growing. So they are mainly growing barley and emmer, which and also in these cultures they don't have money, so they are getting paid via barley and emmer, and then you take it to a brewer and a baker, and they create essentially those food products that then you can barter elsewhere. But the funny thing about ancient Egyptian beer is essentially you just take a raw loaf of bread, slap it in a pot, cover it with water. That is beer, and you just wait.
That's how they do it in prison.
Exactly. And so it's just exactly like bread. Like it's not. And the other thing is, it is cleaner than the water. So they are going to drink. They are going to drink more beer than water.
Yeah, like American settlers were drinking lots of beer. Granted, it was really weak beer, but it only has to be strong to kill germs.
Most ancient cultures, I kind of describe it in between a kombucha and a beer. It's not. Yeah. It can get as strong because we, especially in ancient Egypt, we have depictions and talking about drunkenness and like getting drunk on wine and getting drunk on beer. But like most of the beer is probably somewhere in between that kombucha and a beer. Like they are not wandering around drunk all the time. But they're also fully. They like only certain people are going to be sedentary. Like they have to walk everywhere. They have to go everywhere. Like they don't have cars. They don't sit around and do stuff. They're constantly working. So they're also metabolizing stuff probably 12 times as fast.
And it's probably like 2.5% ABV. It's probably like Oklahoma beer, you know?
Yeah. It's exactly. I did have one question over on our TikTok. Are sharks afraid of orcas?
Yeah.
Oh.
Extremely.
Huh.
In fact, people have experimented with. So, this is an interesting story. There's a guy who developed a device that, in hindsight, is not very practical because it's expensive to develop. But he made little underwater speakers. Okay. And he wanted to sell these things to longline fishers, and then So, if you don't know what that is, you'd have imagine like 12 miles of fishing line, and it's got a baited hook every so many feet. And so every so many hooks, he was thinking they'd have a speaker there. But then they were performing differently at different depths, and there's just waterproofing it is a pain, so it wasn't really the most practical thing. Long story short, his business partner backed out whenever he came down with cancer. He recovered from cancer, but he just was like, I'm not interested in pursuing the business venture at this point anymore. I actually reached out to him, and I was like, I have an audio engineer who wants to help make this real. Yeah. I'm on the coast, so I can go test it for you. And he was like, I'm not interested in doing it anymore. I just want to sell the business. So unless you got $2 million to give me for it, I'm out. And I was like, all right, well, that's the end of that conversation.
And was this to play orca sounds so that?
Yeah, going with that is it was a combination of. So sharks can hear a very unique frequency of sounds. They can hear low frequency sounds better than we can. So the reason being is they need to hear injured prey very well. So if you imagine a seal or a fish has a broken bone, and when it's swimming that makes a low click that maybe we can't hear, they can pick up that really well. So this sound had a certain secret sauce of certain low frequencies, but then they also went and recorded a specific pod of orcas that was famous for hunting sharks. And so they recorded the calls from that pod of orcas and played it. And supposedly, and they did do a demonstration of this on Shark Week, supposedly they had success. Wow. And they played an arena with some bait. They had a hunk of tuna, and a bull shark came up, they turned it on, and it swam away.
Wow.
And generally, anywhere where you've seen an orca prey on a white shark, because it's usually larger
Mm-hmm.
sharks, they'll take whatever sharks they can get. They only go for the liver. They make a little incision, like one shark or one orca will grab the shark and flip it over so it goes into tonic immobility, and they'll hold it like around the gills. They'll hold it like by the head and position it so that the other orca can come and make a bite right underneath the pectoral fins where the liver is, and then they pull them down, and as they pull them down the buoyant liver pops out and they eat it. So
That's
it's like super calorie rich, and like they use it for
fascinating.
they fill up on liver oil for like long migrations. So the orcas just come in and go like, that's a really calorie rich snack. I'm just gonna take just that, and they completely waste the rest of the animal. It's wild.
That is actually fascinating that they can. Like, I guess my whole thing is like, why don't they just rip the whole thing to shreds and eat the liver? I think it's just like more fascinating that they
Yeah.
can hone in on it like that.
It may honestly just be that they like the taste.
That's
It
crazy.
might be that cut and dry. Then there's different behaviors of orcas all over the world too. Like Kay Passionate would probably know a lot more about this than I would. This marine mammals is her thing, but like you have different ecotypes
Mm-hmm.
of orcas, like in the Arctic, the Antarctic, around in Alaska, the
Mm-hmm.
ones in South Africa. There's a pair of them that are brothers in South Africa that are infamous for killing sharks. They're named port and starboard because their
Jesus.
dorsal fins go opposite directions. So they're curled like in
Port
Free Willy, but
star.
one is left and the other is right. So
Oh
they
my
call
god.
them port and starboard. They call them the white shark serial killers because
Jesus.
they go in and just like annihilate white sharks like it's their job. Like so there's all kinds of stories that have been born out of this. They're like, oh well, maybe like some member of their pod was killed by a white shark or something, and now they want revenge.
That's crazy.
um, yeah,
That is
yeah,
actually
but so
crazy.
anyway, what I was saying is when you have a situation where a white shark has recently been killed by an orca,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find that if it wasn't the orcas themselves, the scent of decaying white shark repels other white sharks, and
Oh.
they will flee that area and not return for at least a season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's thought that that has played a big part into why the white sharks vanished from South Africa. South Africa used to be this booming, like in Cape Town and Hansby, it was a booming shark ecotourism spot where people would go do cage dives with
Mm-hmm.
them. And for a few years now, Port and Starboard had this big, uh, you know, push along the coast. The people are just following them with drones, killing sharks left and right.
Wow.
But a big part of that story that didn't get coverage is that they're also getting caught as bycatch in fisheries there. The white
Mm.
sharks are also dying as a result of a fishery that is actively harvesting seven gill sharks there.
Mm.
They kill the seven gill sharks and they sell them for fish and chips in Australia. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I know, and the people in Australia probably might not even have any idea they're eating shark. They call it flake, or there's like seven other names for it.
Whoa.
So like generally speaking, that's why like it's so important to ask like what kind of fish is in this, and if they just say it's like fake a flake or squalene or something, that means it's probably shark.
Whoa. I had no idea.
But yes, fisheries were doing just as much, if not more, damage than the orcas. But the orca story is more interesting, so that's what got all the attention. You know.
Yeah. That's crazy. Paranoid asked that they, that they blue. Oh my god, can't say that. Belugas have vocalization, but how do sharks communicate if they do? Do they have any vocalization or just communicate in different ways?
Oh, so okay, there's an interesting case that I filmed with my drone that, and this goes back to rays again, and it is, and I like flat sharks are that is a thing. Like Flat Shark Friday is a thing on Shark Science Twitter, and we have spotted eagle rays here, and they are gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them do something pretty cool that kind of sent me down a rabbit hole, and I have a theory that they might actually collaborate together and maybe have a way to communicate. But it's just a theory, and if I go out and tell people this is a real thing, I'm going to be called a quack, and they'll be like, "Well, he's not a scientist anyway. Don't listen to that guy." But so we'll get into that later. But no, the short answer is no shark is able to vocalize. They don't have any of the organs. Like some fish do that by like
Mm-hmm.
squeezing air around in their swim bladder,
Mm-hmm.
swim bladder, Like they'll make little croaks and things.
Yeah.
Sharks don't have any of those organs. However, there is one shark that was known to make noise, and they think that it is an instinctive thing they do under distress to
Mm.
maybe other sharks to a threat. It's a type. It was a starry smoothhound. It's a small shark that they find in UK,
Oh,
and what
interesting.
it does is it clicks its teeth together
Ah.
whenever it's under stress. Like so, when they're handling it to like move it to another tank, it would go tick, tick, and
Hmm.
like bite its teeth together.
Interesting.
So that is the first sound produced by a shark that anybody ever noticed. That was they wrote about that last year, I believe.
Hmm. Wow, that's
But
so
yeah, no
recent.
vocalization. But then on to the other side of the coin. So this thing I saw was out there for like 2 hours, probably watching these spotted eagle rays hunting, and it's super cool because they eat crustaceans, anything from like little bristle worms to maybe crabs. Um, and I noticed that at this beach I was at, they were always in pairs, and
Mm.
so there's two eagle rays, and they were like taking turns. They never both went down to hunt at the same time. They'd be at the surface, and one would disappear for a second,
Mm.
eat something, come back up, eat it. I would see the sand go through its gills as it was biting down,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other one would go, and it
Hmm.
would come back and do the same thing. Chomp chomp, sand out the gills, keep swimming. Next one goes down, and like just instinctively, I'm thinking like that to me looks like okay, I'll play lookout while you go get a
Yeah,
snack. You know what I
absolutely.
mean? Like their main predator is hammerhead sharks, and they could come at any time and
Mm-hmm.
swim up. They usually approach from behind them, so like it seems advantageous to have a set of eyes at the surface while you go and get food.
Yeah,
Um,
that is
but then
fascinating.
that raises the question: if they can't vocalize, how would they alert the other one to its presence? Maybe they could feel a vibration of them swimming off really quickly or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. But there's an anecdotal observation of people that keep these spotted eagle rays in captivity that they will do a really loud croak. And so they have these big spiracles, these holes on the back of their head that are for pumping water through to help them breathe. And when handlers take them out of one tank and put them in another, they'll make this loud croaking
Mm.
sound. They only do it in that context. It's never been
Yeah.
recorded underwater. So
Mm.
it might just be that, like, this organ makes a fart noise when they pull them out of a tank, and that's
Yeah.
it. But I would like to think, like, I think it's at least worth looking into,
Yeah.
and like somebody mic up some some rays and find out if they use that, because if they did, it would be completely unique in elasmobranchs or
Mm.
cartilaginous fish. It would be the only one that we know of that does it. So it's for me, it's wishful thinking. I would love to think that these stingrays are probably capable of
Mm-hmm.
communicating in some way, whether it's vocalization or not. Um, but it's probably not the case because again, they would be the only ones.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. That would be so interesting to find out. Um, which types of sharks are the most endangered? And I'm sure when we want to look at shark conservation, it's all of them. But which ones are the ones that, by focusing on them, will help the rest of the ocean more or less?
so um, it has to do with locale. You with
Mm.
sharks, you have some sharks that have they exhibit what's called site fidelity, meaning they are born on a specific reef or whatever habitat and they stay there their whole
Mm-hmm.
life. You have migratory species like your tigers and hammerheads. They migrate to mate, they migrate to give birth. There's purposes for everything they do. But they'll have pretty predictable
Mm-hmm.
migration patterns. Like they'll do generally the same thing unless something changes.
Yeah.
Like right now, we've noticed that this population of bull sharks that used to come and give birth in the St. Lucie River in Florida, because of warming oceans, they now have gone all the way up to the Carolinas and found
Wow.
another suitable spot there. And another population that was going to the Keys has now replaced them in Florida. So
Mm.
the two colonies just moved north. It's interesting stuff. But apart from that, you have a third category of your pelagic species. So you have a pelagic thresher shark, things like makos, and especially like the biggest example of these is your oceanic whitetips. Oceanic whitetips are extremely vulnerable to fishing, just because they're out there in the open ocean where we don't have protections for that sort of thing. So that's what makes them so vulnerable. There is still a massive amount of poaching out there, like in ungoverned waters, where people are still shark finning. Which is where they cut the fins off, throw the rest of the body away because they can get up to like $200 a pound for just the fins. So why would you keep anything else? On top of that, we do have a big issue of bycatch, where like longline fisheries and trawling net fisheries, more so longlining, will end up catching and accidentally killing a lot of sharks in their process. But both of those are going to highly affect the pelagic species that are way out there roaming the open ocean, and they're just not they're not built to recover from that kind of damage. And so specifically with the oceanic whitetips, they're such a good example because they've been hit really hard. Like their populations have declined since the 70s by 98%. So they're on the brink. Yeah. If you see one, it's a rare occurrence, and there's like a few. You can go to Egypt and see them pretty reliably, actually. That's a popular tourist destination for that. Is the Red Sea?
The Red Sea.
They reproduce so slowly. They have few babies, and they're not sexually mature for a long period. Like some sharks are not able to reproduce for like 30 years. So Greenland sharks aren't sexually mature till they're 100. They live to be 400 years old because they live in this crazy frigid environment. So they have really slow metabolism, and so they can't even have can you imagine hitting puberty at 100?
Yeah.
Whoa. Nina Dracul, thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs. Sorry for the distraction, but
that's
this is
okay.
Awesome. Y'all, can I give a plug for this goal we're doing right now?
Go for it. Absolutely.
So, if you've noticed this little goal in the corner on my stream right now, we wanted to do a special thing for Earth Day where a bunch of dive charters are getting together and taking people to pick up trash off the reef on scuba tomorrow morning. And my wife and I are going to go. And we are now 11 subs away from the goal, which if we meet that goal, that means our air tank, our 4 air tanks we're going to use are paid for. So we would essentially be going out to just pick up some trash for free on the community's dime. So thank you guys so much for contributing. Thank you, Nina, for the gifted subs. That's absolutely awesome. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I have 2 really good questions from Gwenna. What is the rarest shark species you've seen, and what is a bucket list shark for you to see?
Bucket list, whale shark.
Well, yeah.
Right off the cuff. It's so hard to find a responsible tour guide for whale sharks. You have to either go to Maldives or Mexico, and I have not figured out.
To get to.
Yeah, it's a long trip, but it's more so there's a lot of really irresponsible. What the heck? Thank you, Misadventures Astro, for the 500 bits. You have to be really diligent about finding the good ones, and I quite figured out how to sift the good ones from the bad ones, because there's people that will just take way too many people and they crowd the whale sharks, so people are touching them. There were videos of people in Mexico, some of the guides were letting them stand on top of the whale sharks like they're surfing, and I don't want to give any money to people for doing that sort of thing. So we're in the process of vetting them and looking for a guide that can take us out there and do it responsibly, taking some recommendations from friends that have done it before. But a lot of my friends that are guides, like dive guides, that actually take people out and do that stuff for a living, they won't tell me what charters they use in Mexico, because they're like, "Oh, I do this for a living. I take trips down there, so just come with us." Like, well, just tell me who you took.
Just tell me.
They're gatekeep that stuff.
Gatekeeping, man.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not trying to host a tour. I'm just taking my wife. Chill out.
Go.
Yeah. So that would be my bucket list species is whale sharks. What was the other part of the question?
What is the rarest shark you have seen already? Or one of the more unique ones you've seen that maybe not a lot of people know about. I didn't know about what you said, sand shark? That was a new one. I hadn't heard of that one before.
Sandbar.
Sandbar.
Sandbar was the one that tried to eat my camera. I don't like those guys. They're rude. So I've seen tigers, bulls, great hammerheads. They're pretty unique. Maybe the rarest would be I saw a white tip reef shark, just one. We were on our honeymoon. We were diving in Bora Bora. We stayed there for 2 nights just to be able to dive. And it just so happened this one oceanic our white tip reef shark came into view for a good like 10 seconds there. Yo,
Nina.
Yeah, thank you so much. 10 more gifted subs. We are now one sub away from meeting the goal for tomorrow's trash dive. That doesn't have a good ring to it. Trash cleanup dive.
Trash dive.
I had a trash dive last weekend. That was rough.
Not
We're gonna
the
have a
same.
great time tomorrow. Wow, thank you so much for the gifted. So we got some good hits in there too. I know like all these people, all of them but one. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Let me make sure. So I have this thing I do. I found this diver flag on the bottom of the ocean, in West Palm Beach, and I was gonna pick it up to throw it away, but then I thought I'm gonna start doing those things where I sign it when people gift a certain amount of subs, and I don't know if I've put Nina on here. No, I did. It's right there. Okay, we're cool. But we'll raffle it off when we fill it up. So that's a fun thing we've got going on here. Sorry. Carry on.
No problem at all.
Did you just?
Yes.
Did you? Did you just finish it?
Maybe.
Hold on a sec. Why didn't you go off?
I don't know why it did go, but it did. I did it, so it counts.
Okay, well we did the thing. So hey guys, we're going diving tomorrow to pick up trash. Thank you, Melissa, for sniping there.
Come on, one. I gotta do it.
That's awesome. There we go. It finally went off.
There we
Thank
go.
you
50
so
out of
much.
50.
I know I caught a raid from you. Did I put you on here? I think I did.
Maybe. Who knows?
That was like a couple days ago or yesterday even.
That was
maybe.
that was on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I gotta finish it. Come on, one out. Like I'm a completionist. I have to do it.
Forgot to put you on here. You should have yelled at me.
I'm yelling at you now. But we still got quite a few more.
No, yeah, I definitely forgot.
We still got quite a few more questions. But if you're on my side of the chat, keep using the lecture questions. Channel point, I got that pulled up now, so I don't miss anybody else's questions. But I'm learning so much about sharks. I don't think I've ever seen a shark in person. I'm a little scared of scuba diving, we'll just admit it.
That's fair. Very unnatural thing to take air with you down there.
I can't really breathe underwater like normally. Like I have trouble I have a lot of trouble even snorkeling, so like doing scuba diving scares me.
I hate snorkeling. Snorkeling is just like you're so vulnerable at the surface and you're at the mercy of the waves. Like diving's a whole different animal. You're suspended. You feel like an astronaut.
Yeah.
You know, like you're neutrally with air in your vest to balance out the weight.
Yeah. The only time I went actually serious snorkeling was in St. Croix, and we were out by this island off the coast of the main island, and the waves were rough and it was hard and everyone was hitting me and I was not having a good time for the most part. And then I saw I think I saw a barracuda and that freaked me out. I was like, what the heck is that? That thing is long and has a really long face, and I was not happy.
I have a story about barracudas that you might like.
But I have seen rays jump out of the water when I went snorkeling once in the Bahamas. They were jumping out. They were really tiny ones, but they were jumping out in front of our boat, which was really cool.
There's two reasons they'll do that. One is to run away from a predator, so there might have been a hammerhead chasing it. Ooh. Another thing is the males will do that a mating display. So whoever can make its loudest belly flop as a stingray will attract like a female, and it's really cool to see that. Yeah, like that's a big flex that you witnessed that. Actually, that's pretty rare.
It was really cool. It's just we kept hearing this noise, and I was like, "What is that noise?" And then we turned around, and someone's like, "I saw it." And they were pretty small ones. They weren't that big, but it was kind of crazy to see it.
That's cool. Yeah, it was probably like a devil ray or something.
Yeah, maybe. I was gonna say, I guess I've seen sharks in aquariums. I have been to some aquariums, but I've never seen one out in the water. I typically don't. I used to go to Florida all the time, but when my grandparents lived there. But mainly I go to the Outer Banks, which is very fitting that I'm wearing my sweatshirt today. And I've seen a lot of dolphins there, but I haven't seen really any sharks that I can remember. But Gwenna's other question was, what are your thoughts on the divers, quote, training sharks to eat invasive species like lionfish?
It's wishful thinking. They do eventually take it, but like when the divers stop doing it, they don't go after the lionfish on their own. Kind of shift in predation takes a long time, thousands of years. You know, like I really don't think it's gonna stick. Unfortunately, I think we are gonna have to be the ones to find out how to eliminate the lionfish. And the problem with that is that their distribution goes from shallow water to waters that are deeper than we go.
Yeah.
Actually, will go down to like 400 feet towards continental shelves. So we're trying to come up with ways, and when I say we, I just mean humanity. We're trying to come up with ways that, oh, this is a fun one. I didn't have that emote yet. Nice. We're trying to come up with like everything from like underwater drones that like electrocute them or trap them in a box. Just anything to do, because they don't respond to angling. They don't take baited hooks.
No.
So spearfishing seems to be the only effective way we've found to get them. But if they're deeper than we can send a spear fisherman, what are we supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to invent traps and devices we can send to go after them. Just anything we can do to eliminate them. But the fortunate thing about them is they're delicious. Actually,
I was gonna say
totally
that's what Otto just asked, and I was pretty sure that I've seen videos of people spearfishing them, and I was like, I'm pretty sure we eat at least a portion of them.
Yeah, my wife and I, just for sustainability reasons, just decided to switch to plant-based about a year ago. Are we coming up on? We're like a year and a half into it, and that was a big deal because like I grew up in Texas. You know, I've got brisket and chili recipes I'll take to my grave, but I would make an exception for lionfish because it's invasive. We're doing the world a favor by removing them. They are decimating the reefs here. They eat every other small fish on the reef. They have no predators to go after them. And people think, well, they're venomous, but it's just the spines that stick out of them that are venomous. And it's 9 times out of 10 not a fatal sort of venom. If you get envenomated, it's going to be the worst pain you've had in your life, but it's probably not going to kill you unless you have some other sort of complication.
Yeah.
But
venomous, not
you
poisonous.
just
Difference.
They take scissors and cut the spines off. And then when you cook it, it actually denatures the toxin anyway. So that you know, puts a lot of people's mind at ease to know that. So they eat it to beat it is the name of the campaign in the Caribbean.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've tried that before. I had a couple interesting things in St. Croix, and
there's like a select few restaurants here, and it's definitely like on islands like St. Croix it would be more common.
Yeah. I may have tried it, but I don't remember it. I was there for 2 weeks. We were eating it.
Just hard to get a steady supply of it, you know, because you're dependent on spear fishermen. So it's like they'll have some for a short period. It'll be the catch of the day that day or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to add this question from Real Men Grow Beards, which we got on my Discord before we started. Do you get annoyed that sharks are always cast as villains, while there are other creatures that are scarier, and as he put it, that they can get away with it due to their pretty privilege, which I loved how he phrased that.
Pretty privilege. Yeah, I think dolphins get a bad rap too, honestly. Is it true that there are some horrendous things that dolphins do? Yeah, but honestly, we're way worse. But not even just to detract from the things that dolphins do. You have to think about it like they do those horrendous things to defend their pod from outsiders. They do it to like other species of dolphins and other pods that are approaching theirs and posing a threat. So like, I don't know, maybe they're just doing what they can with the tools they have, you know, to protect their families, to protect their pod. But I never really gave any thought to dolphins. I didn't really care about them much until we went on our honeymoon. And the first dive we went on, we literally, I think we may have witnessed a baby dolphin take its first breath. Because I was down at depth trying to get neutral, so I'm filling up my air, I'm getting my camera turned on, and my wife is like yelling. She swims over and like grabs me and was like, "Look!" And I didn't even have the camera on yet, unfortunately. But there's like a pair of dolphins, and they're like lifting the baby up to the surface. And so we went back
God.
and did that same dive, the drift around a certain coast that went to an inlet into the archipelago. They call it Tiputa Pass in Rangiroa in French Polynesia, and it's famous for this wall of sharks. They call it. You'll see like 300 gray reef sharks just gliding in the current when the tide's coming in.
Dang.
Because they can conserve energy and just kind of like glide there like birds will. And so I was waiting to see all these sharks. We ended up seeing this crazy experience with dolphins, and we go back the second day, and one of them approached us. This one's actually up on my Instagram. This dolphin comes up and like rubbed up against me.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe dolphins are pretty cool. That was wild. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that, but you can audibly hear me go, "Oh my god."
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's.
But as far as the demonizing thing, so like, am I annoyed that sharks get such a bad rap? I'm a fan of shark thrillers. Like I just
Okay.
watched Thrash on Netflix and I loved it. I'm a huge Jaws fan. I actually have a Captain Quint costume. I had the mustache and all
Love it.
that last summer. Like I love shark thriller movies. There's a new one coming out called Deep Water that looks really good. But I'm more so annoyed by people who look at that and think that there's any sort of reality to it. You know what I mean?
Got
Like,
it.
don't be so gullible. It's just movies, you know? So, like, there's got to be, I think there just needs to be better education out there, like maybe more readily accessible information showing people, okay, like this is fun and easy to be afraid of these toothy predators, but like here's the reality of the situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like maybe every shark thriller should at least have like a 30-second disclaimer at the end, like David Attenborough saying, "Here's what's really happening."
Yes. Yeah. Something like that. I was thinking, I suddenly in my brain started thinking of more and more shark things, because I know somebody asked earlier of like, did Jaws help or hurt like sharks and shark conservation? Definitely hurt.
Yeah, no, so much so Peter Benchley wrote the book Jaws. That got made into a movie. Steven Spielberg made the first summer blockbuster. It was like, lines out or going around the building to get in to see the movie. And people loved it, but they hated sharks after that. Way less people in the water. People were then going out and just like in the movie when they're going and killing sharks and feeling proud of what they did. People were doing that in real life. There became this culture of like killing large sharks for a long time then, until they ended up protecting white sharks. And it was so bad that Peter Benchley and his wife formed a shark conservation nonprofit themselves, one of the most prominent ones. I can't remember the name of it right now because I'm terrible with proper nouns, but I will find it.
I have seen Jaws once, and it was very scary. And it was mainly because of the music, because I think at least when I finally watched it, I was like a grown adult, and I could recognize that that is not a real shark. And so it sort of pulled me away from the reality of it a little bit, but like the music is terrifying. Like, oh my God, I could not stop my heartbeat from like I know what was gonna happen, but I'm like, I cannot stop my heartbeat from like being in terrifying fear.
And what's amazing about that is how your brain will trick you into being scared just by the combination of the edits and the music. Yeah. So like I invite anybody to look at go look up on YouTube any scene of a shark just doing sharky things, and watch it with the music they put to it. Yeah. And then mute it and play like a random reggae song and watch it again. And the vibe's completely different. You know what I mean? Like I'll often play random, like there's a chill step playlist going right now. I'll play that over our shark
Yeah,
dives.
they're fine.
Like, oh yeah, this isn't so bad. But then I might find some really intense, yeah,
Yeah,
I'll find
like
some really intense classical song and play that to the same dive, and suddenly it's intense. You know, it's oh my
yeah.
gosh, this is a harrowing experience. Um,
It is
but
fascinating how that can change just so subtly.
yeah, it changes a lot. It's a lot of it is in how you frame it, and it's easy because again they are a scary looking animal.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to paint them as a villain or to paint them as something that we should be afraid
Yeah.
of because we already kind of want to. It's ingrained in our minds to think that the thing with big teeth is a problem, is danger, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Otto asked, "Do you think Michael Brody should be in prison for killing the only roaring shark to live?" In what did you say in Jaws the
in
Revenge,
Jaws the Revenge.
which I have never heard of in my life.
Yeah.
Jaws 4? There are 4? I had no idea.
Yeah. So you have Jaws 2, Jaws the Revenge, and Jaws 3D. Which Jaws 3D
Oh my
I
God.
think is Jaws the Revenge is really bad, but Jaws 3D is one of the most comically bad movies out there. Like I think they may have invented the shark B movie with that. You know, like because there's this it was in 3D, so you have 3D glasses,
Yeah.
but it's clearly just like somebody took paper cutouts of like blood and guts and a fish head and like this 2D shark that's just getting larger and it's
Oh my
not really
God.
getting closer. Yeah, and
That's bad.
it's so corny. But it's corny in a fun way.
Yeah.
But no, that's funny. I really had to think for a second, like, who is that?
I was like,
Brody.
I don't
Oh,
know what
yeah.
this is. I can't tell if half the time when people are joking or being truthful. But I was gonna say one of the movie, and this is I don't know the name of the movie because this was a movie that I stumbled upon. I'm pretty sure it is post Sharknado, so it's like Sharknado comes, and then all of those weird shark kind of movies come out.
Shark.
And
Good one.
the only thing I remember is that it was some sort of massive tsunami that floods California, and because of this tsunami, it brings back prehistoric sharks. I don't know if it's the Megalodon. It might be the Megalodon. It might be another. Is it called the Meg? I don't know. All I'm telling you is I remember 2 scenes. I remember one group of people stuck in a lifeguard shack that's been flooded up to the top, and the shark coming in and eating them. And then I also remember one spectacular shot.
I didn't see that.
This is so bad. I remember one spectacular shot of these people in like a flooded warehouse, and there's like they found like this dock, and the girl is like on the dock, and the guy is like, or the girl's like, I'm gonna go and swim for help, and the guy's like, don't do it. Like she's like, but I have to swim for help. She goes swimming for help. The shark fin comes up. He's screaming at her for her to come back. She gets eaten by the shark. It's very sad. And then he's crying, and all of his friends come out, and he's like, just give me a minute. I'll come back in. I promise. And he's like mourning her. And then as the group turns around, the shark jumps out of the water, grabs him by the waist, and takes him down. And he doesn't scream. He can't do anything. And all of his friends just turn around. They're like, that's all I remember. I don't remember anything else. But I have like, how did those like, is it by the point that we know those movies are so silly and weird that is it called Malibu Shark Attack? It cannot be called Malibu Shark Attack. That cannot be what it's called. But it might be. I'm gonna look it up. Malibu
But
Shark
yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, for me, and I think for most people that I've encountered who like dive with sharks or study them or work with them, you know, any kind of capacity,
It is Malibu Shark Attack.
they tend to like the shark thriller movies, and it's
Okay.
because it's silly to us. You know, it's
Yeah.
so every shark movie is a B movie because it's just so asinine to think of them as these threatening monsters. It's kind of akin to like, you know, there's been a bunch of like silly monster thrillers. Like there was one about rabid sheep in England. You know, like to me it's like that.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
like it's just silly.
Yeah, and I guess in my equivalent, it is all the Mummy movies.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, there you go. Like
it is that that's the like.
fun and exciting.
Yeah, there's
But,
definitely
like,
the
you
difference
don't-
between the adventure movies and then the full Mummy movies that have like full historic, like very, very fictional and yeah, so it's supposed to be the Tremor release a living fossil goblin shark. That's what it was. It was not a megalodon, but it was a living fossil of a goblin shark.
Goblin shark. Wow.
Yeah.
I never even heard about that one.
It's called Malibu Shark Attack from 2009. And I saw it somewhere on a sci-fi channel or something. But that's because the shark has this big like nodule in the front, which I guess is a goblin shark that I just like distinctly remember. So I think that is definitely it. And yeah, apparently you can watch it on YouTube for free movies. You can have a movie night.
Oh, I'm definitely doing that.
Yeah, I definitely think this is it. It was pretty bad from what I remembered.
It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, that's definitely yeah. There's a picture of it coming into the little lifeguard shack. But I know we did have another question about I've lost my tabs. I've lost all my tabs. Crazy Universe, do you think that the Meg is still out there lurking?
Nope.
Super dead.
Yeah, to quote a shark scientist that answered this, so I know a couple of these shark scientists that work with an organization out here called Minorities in Shark Sciences, or MISS. It was founded by 4 African American women that wanted to help remove barriers for women and people of color in shark science trying to get into it.
Cool.
And they released the funniest reel of this one girl, Jasmine, who's one of the founders, is looking down at her phone, and they're on the boat, and they just got done doing some lab or something. And one of her friends says, "Hey, Jasmine, this person wants to know, is the megalodon still around?" She goes, "Nope." And they go, "Really?" She said, "Indeed, super dead." Like, didn't even look up from her phone.
I love it.
We actually, I was on my stream yesterday. We just watched was it yesterday or Tuesday? Maybe Tuesday. We watched a video. There's this guy who's been I forget his name. He's been making these theoretical videos of like, what if a T-Rex was born today in the Serengeti or something, And it's like, here's all the reasons it would struggle. And he's doing these like, I guess, role play simulations of like what are the struggles it would have. And he did one of what would happen if a megalodon was born in today's oceans. And it's like it gets chased by orcas and, has all these problems finding food. And at the end of the day, there ends up not being enough food for it because ultimately that's died out. There used to be an incredible amount of more cetaceans on the planet than we have now. And that was their main source of food is whales. So what we had a mass extinction of cetaceans. I don't remember when. That's more of a Danny question.
Yeah,
but,
I was gonna say long time ago.
Yeah, he would probably have it like this, but that resulted in a massive loss of food for the Meg. Because you think about if they're trying to eat like seals, you have any idea how many seals a 50-foot active predator is going to have to eat? Like, sure, you have whale sharks get big, and people see that and they think, oh, well, then if a whale shark can get that big or a basking shark can get that big, then why can't a Meg? Well, a Meg is an active hunter, like how the white shark has to have enough calories to burn and then the specific muscle fiber structure to be able to charge up and leap out of the water and grab one of these things by surprise. It's an ambush predator. Although they are technically predators, things like whale sharks and basking sharks are kind of grazing. You know what I mean? They feed on coral polyps and krill, things that aren't really running away from them. So they're just like, oh, let's just gulp down this stuff over here. So they're not burning energy in the same way that an active predator like a megalodon or a white shark would. So yeah, no, they're gone. Super dead.
Super dead.
To quote Chef.
This was something I thought of earlier because I forgot. My all-time favorite show is Psych, and there is an episode all about sharks. And I was wondering if you had seen it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No. So I've watched a few episodes of that show. A friend of mine was really, really into it, but I didn't finish it. That was the one where he was like helping them catch criminals, right? Yeah.
So he essentially is the absolute ADHD son of a cop who was trained by his dad to be very observant of things, and he lies when they finally the cops catch him and think that he actually commits the crime, and he lies and says he's a psychic. And so the entire time he is as essentially a consultant for the police department in Santa Barbara, California, as a psychic.
I remember that.
magic head, and he's got Dule Hill next to him, who is his pharmacist best friend, or he's not even a pharmacist, he's a pharmaceutical drug sales rep. And there's a whole episode about sharks, and if I remember correctly, they actually have like a shark scientist who is like one of the characters on the show, and it does involve hunting a shark that killed somebody else. Like, it's like essentially the murder victim comes up and they sort of think, okay, I think the rest of the murder victim is inside the shark. And so it does involve a little bit that, but I remember there being a part where there's a shark like scientist who's like, can we not kill the sharks? And I do also remember she's hot and she flirts with Sean's dad, and that's the really funny part of the episode, is that she kind of tries to go on a date with Sean's dad for a while. But
that
I
does
remember,
happen. Well, not the dating part, but the part where they want to kill the shark afterwards. You know, like,
yeah,
that's a pretty common thing.
That actually was one of my questions for you, is that like, if that happens, if like there's a shark attack situation and the shark gets away, like, is it actually necessary to go and get that shark? And if it is there some sort of better alternative to, like, if they're like their attempt, like, why do they chase the shark away? Is it just because they think it's going to attack again, or I don't know. It seems like a scenario that I think has a lot of options, I guess.
This has some caveats to it. So, like, the idea of a rogue shark that suddenly has a taste for humans is a myth. That's done and dusted. That's been debunked by scientists. But it depends on their motivation for wanting to go and harvest the shark after it has killed somebody. Sometimes it's just to confirm the cause of death, maybe, like, see if they suspect they found the shark, they look for the rest of the body, because they have slow digestive systems, so they'll often still be there. If they're just doing it, like, they might just be doing it to collect the remains, you know, for like disposing of it properly. So I guess it kind of depends. I personally, I really try not to have a dog in that fight, because I can understand people's motivation for, like, okay, we should go and, you know, catch the shark and, you know, get so and so's remains to do them justice. But for the argument of, like, oh, that shark's probably going to go and hunt other people now.
Yeah.
I'm not really in a position of authority to say, like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a scientist. I'm just a nerdy guy who swims with sharks. But science does not support that theory. Let's just say that. There is no evidence to show that once a shark has attacked a person, it will continue to do so. As a matter of fact, I can think of, there's one instance ever of a tiger shark that attacked multiple humans.
Really?
And it was in and this was recent too, like 2024, I think. There was a big tiger shark in one of the Virgin Islands that between either two sides of the same island or traveled to another island and ended up attacking another person. One person was just injured, another person was actually fatally wounded.
That's very interesting.
But as far as I know, that's the only time that that's ever been recorded.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. There's so many different scenarios, and we're just living in their world at the same time, because it's finding that balance too. I think there's been a very, very long history of us thinking we are the dominant species and things like that, and that because we can think that we should be in charge, and that has changed a lot of problems.
The guy who founded Sea Shepherd, Paul Watson, he's got a really interesting take on it. It was in the movie Shark Water. He talks about it, and he was like, how did he put it? He's like, really, we're just this conceited naked ape that thinks that we've been given some divine role of ruling over the other animals. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a put it.
Yeah, no.
And I mean, even if you do put, like, importance of humanity over animals, that doesn't mean that we should completely disregard the role of other animals in an ecosystem and the the importance they have in keeping that balance. And there was a question you asked earlier. I forget exactly how it was phrased, but it had to do with like why I advocate for sharks,
Yeah.
and to promote. Oh, it was how doing so. Something about how it makes it easier to
It's like, what's the
sell it to
hardest
people.
part of
Yeah.
advocating for it?
So convincing people to not be afraid of them, because nobody wants to protect them they're afraid of. But really, I have the ability to bridge that gap when I finally show people that like we want the same thing. So like fishermen oftentimes will be at odds because I'm saying something other than what they've heard. They've heard there's too many sharks. I'm saying that's not true. There's not enough fish. But then I'm like, hold on. We want the same thing. We both want healthier reefs and more fish. And I'm telling you, this is how we achieve it. Like that we protect the sharks and do XYZ. Focus your energy not on culling sharks, but on improving our water quality, reducing pollution, stopping dredging, stopping fish trawling. Like actually protect our reefs. And that's usually when I see it click with people, and they're like, "Oh, well, okay, maybe this guy's onto something. Maybe there really is other problems I should be focusing my energy on. And maybe there really are just, maybe he's not just lying, and there really aren't too many sharks. Like there's, and which is crazy to me because I feel like we're beyond the point of having to argue that there can't be too many predators, because like even with wolves that's been proven, but it's a logistical impossibility to have too many predators.
I think it's one of those things that I can't see it, so I cannot confirm it. Like,
and
I thought about this before with like, like I have no idea how many ants there are in the world or how many spiders. You can give me a number, but it's not gonna make sense in my brain because I cannot picture that number. And so if somebody tells me there are too many sharks, and again, like you said, like, oh, a shark takes my fish every fourth fish I get, like, yeah, there are too many sharks, but like when you're not seeing
it's easy
them,
to make that conclusion.
when you're not seeing them, you just can't. It's very hard for me to sometimes picture things, and I'm a very visual person, and if I don't have that like that concept in my brain, it's just hard to fully imagine.
You can imagine, I'm sure, how like when I go out and make videos about explaining this to people, I get flooded with comments from shark fishermen about saying like, oh yeah, I'm gonna believe some guy who lives behind a desk when I'm out on the water 300 days a year, seeing this firsthand. I'm like, okay, you're on the water, not in the water.
And you're on a small piece of water in comparison to the world.
You're in a boat with a very different view of what's going on in this situation. It's skewed. You're not getting the whole picture. So it is what it is, but it's not all just yelling into the void. Like you do see people actually connect the dots, and it ends up being worth it at the end of the day, in my opinion.
Yeah. I know another very hysterical question from Remember Beards, which combines our two fields in the Venn diagram. Which conspiracy theorists are worse, pyramidiots, or as he dubs them, megalodummies. And I'm wondering, is that the biggest sort of conspiracy? Like I don't know. Are there conspiracy theories about sharks, and what or are they more just misinformation? Because I do have very distinctive things when I talk about Egyptology that is misinformation that gets spread around, and full-blown conspiracy theories, because a lot of the things that I consider misinformation are things that are based in reality versus are completely based in fiction. And say that the punching the shark in the nose, I feel like that leans more into misinformation than conspiracy theories. So are there shark conspiracy theorists?
Yeah, absolutely. But we've already covered the three things that they conspire about, or think people are conspiring about. So the people that are out there telling people there are too many sharks think that conservation advocates like myself, and even scientists, they think that the IUCN is just lying to get more money for scientists.
Okay.
That's very tinfoil hat.
Yeah, that absolutely falls into conspiracy theory. I have so many people that
If
are
that
like,
was true, if I was out here spreading lies for profit, I would have money, and I'm broke. So
it's my favorite thing. There were like somebody when we had our crazy pyramidiot conspiracy theory, which is just will never die. That was like, God, 2 years ago or a year ago, and everyone was like, she's being paid. I'm like, by who? I'm like,
yeah,
who's
was that an option?
me? Like, I mean, I am getting paid by you commenting, so thank you. But like, it's like I'm not getting paid. Like, and the sad part about archaeology in specific is that like you're right, one of the biggest conspiracy theories that I think is spreading versus all academia is that academics are lying and academics are hiding stuff from us, which is honestly I was very dumbfounded. I did not really see that coming until I did this big this big video about these stupid knot pillars underneath the pyramid. And one of the things that I just was so like, I did not realize that it was so widespread, and it's just like they don't trust us. And the unfortunate thing with archaeology is sometimes we do have to hide things from people. And it's for one very distinctive reason, is that if we go on social media and we say, hey, look guys, look at this awesome tomb I just found. We're going to start excavating tomorrow. Guess what's going to fucking happen in the middle of the night? Like, somebody's going to full go in and just rip that tomb to shreds for either fun, because genuinely there are those people that will just do it just because they can, or for monetary value. And
I'm not ashamed to admit that, like, myself and other shark divers and photographers and whatnot, we actively gatekeep locations where we see certain species.
Yeah.
You know, because like we don't want people to go out there and like fish them up, or just you know, or do something stupid, get hurt, or hurt the animal. You know, like sometimes you have to do that.
It's just the worst, because I feel bad saying it, that we do have to hide those things from it, because humanity has already not been kind, and because we cannot trust everybody out there in the world to protect it. And so we have to do our best to protect it. And it does unfortunately look like gatekeeping, and it does look like we're hiding stuff from people. And that is why I'm very adamant about doing my like Egypt news series and releasing when news comes out. But those news only comes out when the excavation's been over. And I had a friend, essentially an acquaintance who I went on an excavation with in England when I was in school, and he posted on Instagram, like, he was not allowed to tell anybody for 6 months that he helped find an Iron Age axe hoard in England, this massive hoard of axes, and he couldn't tell anyone for 6 months because it was all under protection. It's just like I hate having to do that, but especially in England, unfortunately, they also have a big... America still has this problem, but not nearly as bad as England, but England has been trying to work with them in metal detectoring. Metal detectoring is a vast thing, because I think it's bigger in England because the laws of like walking on people's property and like fields is like not as strict in the United States. Have you ever seen those videos where it's like people, like, you can go on these hikes and you're hiking through people's properties and people's like land totally freely, and I've seen these videos of British people like, why can't you do that in America? I'm like, because you're gonna get shot. Like because it's not like you gotta go on a publicly accessible trail that you know is gonna be safe. Like, it's a very weird disconnect between the two. And so metal detectoring is a huge thing in England, and it has been sort of like legalized in its own way. And like literally just the other day, if you guys know anything about Scottish history, they found an unexploded bomb from the Battle of Culloden in 1740 something. And a metal detectorist found it while they were out there with archaeologists. And so the archaeologists could then find it and actually do excavation rather than just metal detecting. But I feel like that is unfortunately where a lot of the non-academic public, like, their mistrust of us, and it sucks. And I don't know how to repair it. It's like,
I mean, you're doing it. Like, you just keep doing what you're doing, but Like, so, like, for me, it's, I kind of just try to think of it as, okay, if I know that people are going to come at me and poo-poo this information, obviously, uh, there's a certain degree to which there are people you're not going to reach. Like, you
Yes.
can't fix stupid. And, if somebody is so set
Hmm.
in their ways that they're not going to believe the reality of it no matter what you say, your energy is lost on them. And that's, just
Yeah.
ignore that. Um, like for me, every now and then I do encounter a fisherman that's like genuinely cares about ecology, wants to preserve the ecosystem
Hmm.
for future generations, and I'm like, hey, me too. Like, believe it or not, I fish too, and all this stuff. Like let's talk about this, and here's why the stuff I'm saying. Like, yes, it seems radical for somebody who's maybe grown up catching sharks, but really, like, it's because I have the ecosystem's best interest in mind, and I want to show people how to be more responsible.
Hmm.
Um, and so every now and then you reach people, and but what I try to focus on is just thinking about how, so like, it can be very isolating, just being,
Hmm.
because the people who are naysayers about that stuff are a lot more vocal.
Yes. That's
But
the
then when you
other
have just
unfortunate
like,
part.
yeah, but when you have that one case of somebody you got through to, it just makes up so much for that, like
Hmm.
tenfold. And then also, I think it's important to go like out of your way to see the other side of that spectrum. Like,
Hmm.
I interviewed somebody recently who works for a government org called One Lagoon. Her name was Kalita Scott. They do stuff to restore and protect the Indian River Lagoon that I live on.
Hmm.
And she told me about this student film festival. And so for a date night, we actually went last night to this student film festival. That's why I streamed earlier in the day. And that was like the soul food that I needed for to heal those wounds of dealing with ignorance all the
Hmm.
time. Like, to see not just kids banding together and making like really passionate environmental films for Earth Day in this
Cool.
friendly competition they did, but local
Hmm.
Floridian kids, that like are gonna grow up here on this coast and actively become members of the people trying to conserve these
Hmm.
ecosystems. That was so inspiring. That like really that was to me as the sun is to Captain Planet. I was like, yes, I
Yeah.
can keep doing this another day.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's always nice when you get those like one people that I'm like, okay. I tend to have people not admit it straight up, but I'm like, I think I schooled them with my knowledge, so we're just gonna take that as a win. um,
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think it's just more so about like cling to those moments. Like really take the time to appreciate the good stuff and just try not to give any energy to the pyramidiates of the world, and
yeah,
because you're not gonna fix them.
yeah.
So
It's such a
it's just not worth the
difficulty
energy.
because the unfortunate, like, I try sometimes really hard like to see the other side of things, but especially pyramidiates. Like, there's other conspiracy theories that I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, we don't have enough information, so you build this conspiracy theory. That's fine. So much of the pyramidiates are it's all based in racist theory, and they don't necessarily. That does not necessarily mean these modern people are racist, but they don't know that everything is based on actual academic racist theories. And I'm just like, it's just so hard to be like, I understand what you mean, but I don't. That's always the hardest one to like really bridge over because I'm just like,
So are you telling me there are not giant cylindrical structures beneath the pyramids?
no, sadly no. It's my
What?
favorite thing because I'm like, it is straight up bedrock, and it's like nobody's going to excavate underneath the pyramid to go find out. Like, that's my favorite part about this whole thing is that like it's all based on like this very very new technology that is like these scanning these different that one there's muons which has been used. There's also that one was synthetic aperture radar. Synthetic aperture radar, that's what it is, synthetic
Ah,
aperture
okay.
radar. And like they're all using these different technologies, and like the data of that particular study was fine. It was the interpretation that was crazy, and it's also submitted to a non-peer reviewed journal. And so like
Mhm.
I remember when I did that video, I knew that I could not um, compete with the science because like in the grand scheme, like Egyptology is this very uh, interfields. It's got so many different fields. It's got art history, it's got history, it does have science, it does have chemistry, it has all of these things sort of all together. And I am on the far art history side. I'm not even in the history side, which is very funny to think about, but like I am art history all the way. I have no touch of the science, I have no touch of the language, in sort of those ways. And so I knew I could not compete with this science. So the video that I distinctly made was talking about how we can discern whether or not this is a reputable source or than anything. And like talking about like, what is the journal that they published in? What else have they published? And like, is one of the dudes a known UFOologist, which is an actual term for some sort of scientist? And like,
would it be UFOologist or ufologist? That
I don't know. I don't know, but apparently one of those Italians is. He is known. And I was getting comments from his students in my chat, in like my comments being like, yeah, he's crazy. Like his classes are crazy. And I'm like, what is this? And now he's like one of the same people who wrote that paper has brought up the second Sphinx theory, which has been a theory since like the 90s. And it's all about drawing lines all together, but nothing else. Like nobody's found the Sphinx. There's no second Sphinx that has been found. It's just drawing a line saying, there's a Sphinx here. I'm like, have you set foot in Giza to even look? No, they have not. So it's very hard to discern that.
Like it's about predatory publications and all that stuff. That's a very interesting world.
Yeah.
I'm glad though that people are doing things like that, like using that extra step of scrutiny of what did they publish before? You know, what was that all about?
Because we have to still do it. We still have to do it with all the racist archaeologists that did do good shit. We look at, oh, wait a second, they love eugenics. And you're like, okay, I will take everything they write with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Like, that still happens. That's how you have to discern old publications, so why are we not doing it with new publications? But yeah. Alex, we do need a bingo card, because the amount of things that I talk about in the exact same stream every single day. Maybe we should make a Twitch bingo card for when I'm answering questions on TikTok, because that would be pretty funny. Every day I get the same exact questions when we start a TikTok live, so it's at this point we might as well make a bingo card. Well, that I believe is all of my questions. Does anyone have any last questions for Shark Geek? We also, I know we talked about this jokingly, we also can watch the Assassin's Creed Black Flag trailer, which dropped earlier today, and I still haven't.
Yes, I didn't look it up yet. Oh,
I still haven't watched it either, so we could definitely do that in a second. But I wanted to see if anyone else has any other actual shark questions. But I thought it would be fun for us to watch it together.
Do your worst, Bridgekeeper. I am not afraid.
Yes. I was gonna say, is there any like, what was the other thing I was thinking of? I was like, what's your favorite shark in media, like fictional shark in media?
Oh, there's a mythical one that didn't really exist, and Shark Week has gotten scientists in trouble a couple times. What they did was they found out this old fish story of a big hammerhead, and then they did this two more times actually, I think, with bull sharks in Louisiana. But anyway, focusing on this story, there's this legend of an old, really long, like 20-foot hammerhead named Old Hitler in the Florida Keys, and it's just a fish story. Like, there's no evidence that this shark actually existed. And so what they do is they focus on like dramatic, like newspaper clippings from the time and whatever they can find on it, right? And so they paint this dramatic narrative around it. They're very good at telling a good story. I'll give them that. But then they'll go and they'll ask a scientist who studies hammerheads questions about hammerheads, but they'll edit it in such a way that when they play it back, they make it look like this person believes in that one mythical animal. And that ends up hurting the scientist's reputation among the scientific community, and that part sucks. Like the fact that they didn't tell them, like, by the way, we're gonna make it look like you believe this story.
Honestly,
is really crappy.
It is one of those reasons that I'm always a little cautious of documentaries. Like, people always ask me for documentary recommendations, and I I'm never really for them because I'm always worried about editing. And especially with Egyptology documentaries and a lot of history documentaries, there is always like, and most documentaries I would say this, but like there's the narrator and then there's all of the specialist. And I have seen so many documentaries where the specialists are fine and they're saying things and I can tell it's a little bit edited around sort of what they're speaking, but like everything they say is sort of fine. There's maybe a little catchy. Maybe they're saying sort of these kind of catchphrases things. But then the narrator comes in and says something completely off hinge or completely wrong. And I'm like,
Wait, what?
Where did that come from? And then the other thing that I hate about documentaries is mainly because a lot of them are made for like TV is that they repeat all the time. Like they repeat for every commercial break and they say the exact same sentence. And I'm just like, you got to stop this. I can't take it.
They lose me when that happens because I'm extremely ADHD. And so for them to like, if they repeat something twice, I'm out. I'm probably going to tune out the next thing they say, honestly.
Yeah, it just annoys me so much. And there's so many documentaries that I'm just like, I don't know. I like the documentaries where they actually show excavations and that's kind of the only ones. But even the one that we watch that has a lot of excavations, they're cut in between interviews with people that sometimes are completely irrelevant. Like the series that I really like, each episode is themed, but most of the excavations have nothing to do with the theme, which is weird. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. But yeah, I do like Bruce from Finding Nemo. He's probably the only fictional shark I can think of that's like.
Oh, and you asked
middle.
about myths too, like conspiracy theories. That's actually another myth, is that blood sends sharks into a feeding frenzy.
I was thinking about that one earlier.
Sharks that have competitive behaviors, like dusky sharks and lemons, like whenever there is one shark biting something, the others will come in and try to get their share as well. So that situation can escalate very quickly, and you have to be aware of that behavior in them if you're going to be around them. Like that dive we were on Friday there was a lot of lemons around us, but we're not at the surface. They're not quite as excitable down at depth, but at the surface, if you hear any splashing, they go nuts.
Yeah.
They immediately turn around to go investigate what made the splash. So there's different behaviors like that you have to be aware of and act accordingly to be safe around them. But it's not like one drop of blood hits the water and they all freak out. And then again, you have like human blood has a completely different chemical composition from fish blood. They've tested this until it was, fully beating a dead horse. In fact, there was even a Shark Week episode where Mark Rober took 3 floating IV bags on little surfboards, and one of them had fish blood, one of them had like cow blood, and one had a human blood, and they went for the fish blood every time. Like they didn't care about the human blood because they're not, they haven't evolved all to us, hunting us for millions of years like they have with whatever their natural prey item is. So they're keyed specifically to the chemical signatures in fish blood.
Yeah, that makes way more sense. I was suddenly thinking that I think it was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. The shark kept attacking me and killing me.
Yeah, they were mean, dude. Virtual sharks are. I'll go ahead and say it.
Assassin's Creed, genuinely all the animals were horrible, and I
remember the first time I sank a ship, and then you know how like the great whites just come up and clean up the bodies. I was like, whoa, that's so metal.
Yeah, there's a clip of me when like somebody rated in and I was like, hi, my name is MelissainDeNile. I'm in Denial in Morrison 1. I am and then I just scream bear because a bear like turned the corner and tried to attack me, and it's like one of my favorite clips ever because it just every 5 seconds in Odyssey I was getting attacked by something else, and in Origins I could avoid it, but in Odyssey you could never avoid. Oh, and then I also got very excited every time I saw a whale jump out of the water, and there's so many clips of me going whale.
That was such a good.
But yeah, it's I could not, like, I liked swimming to get places, and the sharks kept taking me out one by one.
They were pretty, yeah.
They were pretty bad in that. All the animals were.
If we didn't fully answer that question, there are very few conspiracy theories about sharks, and that is what they are. It's like the blood thing, the megalodon thing.
Yeah.
and Rogue Shark theory thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you don't have the like real scary tin hat people. You can get off easy.
They're really annoying.
They're so annoying. And the nice part is like I do like kind of have built a wall that I'm like, if I can tell somebody's being a tin hat person, like I can switch on a sassy mode when it's hard, when I can't tell what they're actually meaning.
No, actually, though, this is something I was thinking about recently, because so you mentioned conspiracy theories, and I think one of the easiest ways they start to fall apart was actually from an example I heard from someone who was talking about flat Earth theory, and this was really a fun way to shut it down, because I was having a talk with somebody, and this made me think of it, and this person was telling me about there's like this whole wave of propaganda that's gone around recently to try and make people think that the Holocaust wasn't as bad as we think.
Absolutely.
And like I don't know how that crazy like neo-Nazi propaganda resurfaced. I guess they just backpedaled and said, well, we used to say that it never happened, and then people thought we were dumb. So now we're just saying it did happen, but maybe it was exaggerated.
Hate to say
and
it,
I was
exactly like enslavement wasn't that bad. There were people treated their slaves well. Like,
yeah. So then here's how the way the flat earthers shut it down is very much applicable to that, and really most conspiracy theories. So let's look at the flat earth argument for a second here. So there are so many people in the world today that have to use calculations for the curvature of the earth for their job.
Yeah.
So you're telling me every artillery person, every pilot, air traffic controller, anybody who works for any kind of space or aerospace company.
Yeah, I was gonna say astronaut.
Millions of people are lying and in on the same lie.
Yeah.
And nobody has broken the NDA on that. Like that is what it, so I think the argument with the Holocaust thing was they were like, it's logistically impossible to have murked 6 million people in 12 years. I'm like, why? Like, you know what's really hard is there were millions of survivors, there were millions of soldiers, there were tons of reporters, there was so many eyewitnesses, there's loads of physical evidence. So how do you get all of those people to be telling the same lie?
Yeah.
You don't.
You don't. You don't.
You know, like
that's not how that works.
Yeah, and so if you can explain that to people and they still come at you with the same tinfoil hat argument, that is, to me, the confirmation of cognitive dissonance. You know, like you're that is the point where you go, oh, you're just gonna say this no matter what I tell you. So all right, moving on. You know what I mean? Like that's the point at which you drop the mic and walk away, I think.
Mine for Egypt is mostly with pyramidiots, because like there are other conspiracy theories, but they are the most prominent. Whenever they're talking about like, oh, the pyramids weren't tombs, the pyramids weren't blah blah blah, how did they build the pyramids? And I was like, which pyramid are you talking about? Are you talking about?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly.
Are you talking about Giza? Or are you talking about Saqqara? Are you talking about the Bent Pyramid? Are you talking about the Meidum Pyramid? Ooh, are you talking about the lower pyramid of Maguzma? Like, I will drop every minor pyramid that nobody knows about because they only care about Giza and they only care about the Great Pyramid. You never see these conspiracy theorists talking about the Pyramid of Djoser. You never see them talking about even the tiny, tiny, tiny pyramids in Nubia. Like, they don't talk about those. They only talk about the Great Pyramid of Giza. And so it always cracks me up. I'm just like, I want you to know, what about the unfinished pyramid or the Black Pyramid or the White Pyramid? Like, I will bring out every minor pyramid that nobody knows. And I would love for you to come back and tell me, how was the White Pyramid built? Can you tell me that? Like, it cracks me up because they only focus on the big one. And
you're a piece of information that jives with a certain narrative you heard and just cling to that. I can't imagine.
Yeah. And I'm like, works. It's not even the most interesting one.
I want to pick it apart, you know? I want to go figure out all the, you know, if I find something interesting, I'm not just going to go, hey, that's cool. I'm going to spend the next rest of that afternoon, like, digging into every bit about that. And I can't imagine just hearing one thing and just going, that's what I believe now. You know?
Yeah, no.
That seems so boring.
It's boring. Life is boring. Come on. Like, I don't know. People just get set in their minds, for sure. I saw one last question from Otto. Do sharks decide who is in charge? Do they size each other up? Is that a thing? Something like pods, I guess, maybe. How do their families work?
It varies between species. Like nurse sharks, for example, are famous for being very gregarious. They hang out very close with each other. Also, white-tip reef sharks are the ones that you've seen in videos, like sleeping in little huddles together on a cliffside. And
Cute.
yeah, they're very cute. So like some species are more gregarious than others. They'll spend time in close proximity with others. But some like more pelagic species like your oceanic white tips and makos and whatnot, they are very much loners. They'll be out there largely by themselves, just waiting to happen upon an opportunity to feed.
Yeah.
It varies very much from species to species, but we're still learning a lot more about how that works. Like there was a paper that just came out, I think this month, we were reading on my stream last week about how they just found out that bull sharks have social groups. Like bull sharks have friends. That's cool.
They got friends.
So it turns out that like bull sharks will often befriend similar sized bull sharks. And they think that they have like an advantage of spending time with them. They'll either swim in parallel to them or one behind the other, and this is to like increase their hunting odds, and like learn from each other's habits to be more effective at hunting, which is pretty cool. And like they found that like the older bull sharks don't socialize. They kind of, because think about it, they're set in their ways. They've already learned how to be effective. They don't need it, so they go off on their own. And if the smaller sharks try to be buddy with them, they'll chase them off.
No, I don't want to be friends.
White sharks are kind of the opposite. White sharks, when they're teenagers, they have no idea how to hunt things, and they're mostly hunting stingrays. And like in Southern California, for example, they're eating a lot of stingrays and small fish, and they don't have any idea how to hunt a seal. Like even when they start to get big enough to do that. So like as they're developing, the juveniles will kind of hang out in close proximity. They're not like the bull sharks, like where they're following each other or anything, but they're close enough by that like if one attacks something, the other one would potentially notice. So yeah, that's just an example of how like it's very, very different from one species to another. Because then as the white sharks move on, that kind of changes and they become more solitary as they get older. I think there's still caveats with that too. Like there are some places in the world where there's a lot of them in one place, like Guadalupe Island, for example. So, and there's reasons for that. So,
absolutely.
Did I dance around the question completely? How was the question worded? Again, I kind of rabbit holed on that.
No, that was exactly like it was kind of about it was about like do they have a person in charge? But I think you covered that.
Yeah. No, nobody's really in charge. I have seen one interesting case of that actually that would qualify. There is a colony, or not colony. There's a shiver of white shark.
They're called shivers.
The shiver of sharks.
I
Nobody
hate that.
uses it. But
I don't know why I hate that so much. That scares me. That scares me.
That's literally what my Discord is called.
A shiver of sharks. That's horrible. It's so scary.
So there's a group of white sharks, aggregation, I guess. I don't know. It's not a colony, but it's a population of white sharks in New Zealand that some videographers were following for a couple of Shark Week episodes, and they were trying to see if they would do the same kind of breach behavior that the ones in South Africa had done, because they're famous for it in South Africa, mostly because of just the circumstances of the lay of the land and the seals there. But they wanted to see if in the right conditions they could get a shark to breach in that place. And they found this group of them that there was a bunch of good-sized males, but in the shark world, the females are generally larger.
Oh, okay.
And there was one huge female white shark, like from the air, looked like she was bigger than the boat they were in. It was crazy. And she kind of ruled the roost there. And there is definitely she's not like the boss of them, right? So she's not like telling sharks what to do, but they all cut her a wide berth for sure. When the biggest shark comes into an area, the other ones give it a little space.
Got it.
There's definitely that sort of thing. Like so the males let her feed first, and I think that's really just like a fish thing in general too, because like I fed paddlefish once in an aquarium. They do the same thing. They literally lined up in from biggest to smallest and go in a little circle and let the big one feed first, and the next one goes, and the next one.
I
And
love
that's
that.
like the hammerhead we saw in Bimini did the exact same thing. We saw Queen, this massive, famous hammerhead. She's the biggest one that's ever been documented, and
Wow.
and all the other sharks were like, okay, she goes first, 'cause she's 15 feet long and
Cool.
was bigger than the tiger shark that showed up. There's this famous tiger shark named Joker that came, and Queen was so big that usually hammerheads bug out when the tiger shows up, but this one literally like belly flopped on the head of this tiger shark and pushed her face into the sand. Like, get out of here! This is my dive.
Yeah. She does not.
So
she does not care.
There is kind of a size-based
Okay.
respect system, I guess, with
Yeah.
sharks, if you could call it. Taking leaps, calling it that, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
they're wary of things that are bigger than them usually.
Survival of the species. Yeah, like they're not gonna
Yeah.
mess with one that's gonna be bigger than them. They have at least that
You'll,
knowledge.
you'll find that the things that are bigger know that they're bigger, and they're much bolder because
Yeah.
they are not afraid of things preying on them. So the smaller stuff is usually more skittish, more prone to like darting away if you approach it. Whereas if you find a bigger individual that is like big for that species, it'll tend to be more bolder and less afraid of humans or whatever might be around it, because it just knows that it's grown to a size that it doesn't need to be afraid of predators as much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what Otto was asking. So perfect. All right. I have, so the full like Assassin's Creed Black Flag thing is like 28 minutes, but I have found an 8-minute official game overview trailer that we could watch. So if anybody has any more questions, let me figure out how I can set this up. I'm gonna put it.
Do I need to know anything going into this? Like, what was the point of the announcement today?
So this essentially, they officially have confirmed that they are doing a, not just a like, it is not a remastered. It is a resynced is the word they're using. And so from what Roman Beard says and my friends have said is that there might be added content into it. Like maybe added scenes, it appears. But I'm hoping, but the big thing is that this has apparently been a rumor forever, and they have finally confirmed July 9th is when it's coming out. But yeah, so it has been like a long rumor that they've been doing something about fixing the game and making essentially a new version. But if I do this, let me see if I can.
Not doing anything that day. Oh, that's a Thursday. Sweet, we can play
It's
it on a Friday.
Thursday.
On stream.
I also stream on Thursdays. Okay, well, we know what we're doing on that night. That's literally perfect. All right. Just changing some things so that we can watch this.
For the folks at my stream, you're probably going to have to go over to Melissa's for this. I don't think I can show it here.
I put the link also in the chat so that anyone can just watch it while we do this.
Actually, if you wanted to, I could just raid over to you, and then we could all watch it.
That is true. We could also do that. Yes, I will pause the background music. Do you want to do that instead? We could do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
So we'll say a big round of applause and thank you to SharkG for an absolutely amazing discussion. I have learned so much about sharks, which I'm always happy to learn about a new thing. This will all be edited and this will eventually go on my YouTube, and I think it'll also go on SharkGeek's YouTube as well. SharkGeek's group will raid over here and we will all watch the 8-minute official game overview trailer for Black Flag just for fun. So thank you so much, Shark Geek, for such an amazing lecture, and I will see
It's a
you
pleasure.
next
Thank
time.
you for having me. I would be down to do this anytime you want if we haven't already beat the topics to death.
No, absolutely. I think we can. This can absolutely. We can do this absolutely.